Chapter 22:14. Rhyme's Hatred 1. The six of them were dumbfounded by this scene. Lung Roashua saw the claw marks on their bodies and smiled in satisfaction. This injury is not bad. These words made the six of them look at each other. They had to admit that the injuries on their bodies were of a very high standard. Although they looked many and a little scary, they were all just superficial wounds. There was not even a slight pain. All right, you guys can leave now. We'll be assigned to Yangxian for the time being, Lung Roashua said with a smile. When the six of them heard this, they nodded their heads helplessly. Then they consumed the pills that Lung Roashua had given them earlier and said with some reluctance, "Master, take care." After saying that, the six of them teleported and disappeared. After they left, Lung Roashua turned to the demon and said, "We should also go home." "Go. Let's go home," the demon said impatiently. When they came, there were a lot of third wheels around them, but now there was no one else besides Song. Everyone else had been sent to Shui'er's house. Towards this, the demon was already quite satisfied. Because he knew that he couldn't send Song away, he could only ignore him. Following that, Lung Roashua carried Song and set off on the journey back to the land of evil demons with the demon. Half a month later, the two men and one beast had only covered 1/3 of the distance. Uncle Long and the others, who were in their personal rooms, expressed their deep helplessness and disdain at their slow speed. However, the two people and one beast obviously didn't care about other people's gazes. They walked and stopped along the way, feeling extremely at ease. On a certain day, Lung Roashua and the demon had just finished setting up their tents when they heard a childish voice from the corner. "Master! Master!" The two of them looked in the direction of the sound and saw a silver rat the size of a baby's fist. It was looking at Lung Roashua shyly, and its silver-white fur was tinged with a faint pink. Seeing this, the demon's face immediately darkened. Then he grabbed the little silver mouse in a nearby corner, placed it in his palm, and tossed it up and down in the air. The little silver mouse's face turned deathly pale in fright, and it looked like it was about to cry. Seeing this, Lung Roashua helplessly snatched the pitiful little fellow from the evildoer's hands and asked softly, "Little guy, why are you here?" Although she didn't know what this little thing's name was, she was very certain that this little silver mouse was the Silver Rat King's subordinate. However, this little thing seemed to have just been born not long ago, because its strength was very low, only at the level of a saint beast. The Rat King sent me to find Master. It wanted me to tell Master that recently many unknown people have come to the land of evil demons. According to the Rat King's guess, those people should be people from the Divine Lord's estate. Master's godfather also asked me to tell Master to be careful. The little silver mouse reported. "I know. Thank you for your hard work," Lung Roashua said as she gently stroked the little silver mouse's soft fur. "It's not hard. It's my honor to be of service to you, Master," the little silver mouse said happily. It had heard about its master from the adult silver mice in the clan long ago, but it had never had the chance to see its master. Now that it was entrusted with such an important task by the Silver Rat King, it couldn't be more excited and excited. Its master was just as its clansmen had said, very, very good. Thanks seeing the little silver mouse's excited expression, Lung Roashua's affection for this little fellow increased. She couldn't help but think to herself, what a cute little thing. "Evildoer, let's hurry back to the land of evil demons," she said to the demon. She was a little worried about her family. Although she had already informed her godfather and the others of the situation when the mist had sent people to attack the buried city, she could not help but worry when she heard that people suspected to be from the God Lord's manor had appeared in the land of demons. After listening to Lung Roashua's words, the demon nodded his head and pointed at Song. "Just let this guy bring us back." "Song." Lung Roashua looked at Song. Even though she didn't say it out loud, her meaning was clear. Meanwhile, Azure secretly glared at Evildoer before saying, "No problem. Are you leaving now?" "Yes." Lung Roashua nodded. "Then let's go." After Song finished speaking, he used a halo to cover Lung Roashua and Evildoer. After a flash of bright light, Lung Ruashua and the demon had arrived at the foot of the mountain in the land of demons. At this moment, the foot of the mountain was no longer as lively as before. The Yao clan's building, which was bursting with people, had also suspended its business. Although this action had caused the various major forces to be quite dissatisfied, it was useless for them to object to the master's forceful decision. However, there were still some factions that were unwilling to give up and had stationed people at the foot of the mountain. They were waiting for the Yao clan tower to resume its business so that they would be the first to know. When these people saw the demon and Lung Ruashue, who had suddenly appeared at the foot of the mountain, they were momentarily stunned. However, under the pressure of the cold air that was emitted by the demon, these people immediately became well-behaved and watched Lung Ruashue and the demon as they went up the mountain. At the same time, some people were also surprised by the two's boldness. The beasts in the land of demons were very fierce and did not allow outsiders to appear on the mountain. At least, they did not have the courage to do so. Of course, even though the appearance of Lung Ruashue and the demon was a surprise to them, it was just a small interlude to them. Hence, they quickly put the two of them to the back of their minds. At the same time, some people who came to the land of demons with a mission naturally noticed the situation of Lung Ruashue and the demon returning to the mountain. Very quickly, a certain someone passed the news to their master. Lung Ruashue and the demon swaggered into their house as if no one else was around. Master Ning and the rest who sensed something was wrong immediately appeared in front of them. You're back just like that? Seeing Lung Ruashue appear in her original appearance, Master Ning was speechless. Could it be that Shui didn't see the little silver mouse that they had sent to pass the message? Do you want a souvenir, Godfather? Lung Ruashue blinked her beautiful eyes and played dumb. There's even a souvenir? Master Ning was stunned by Lung Ruakshu's words and secretly sighed. Those who didn't know would definitely think that Shui had gone somewhere to play. Little did they know that he had been on tenterhooks the entire time. There are. Lung Ruashue smiled faintly. Then, she moved Uncle Long and the others out of the house. The two leaders of the men in black and Yaoji also came out. However, the leader and Yaoji were both unconscious, and the three of them looked even more miserable. Seeing this, Lung Ruashue wasn't surprised at all because the movements in the house couldn't be hidden from her. She also knew that their current state was most likely due to the people in the underground city. However, when the people of the buried city received Lung Ruakshu's teasing gaze, they lowered their heads in embarrassment. At this time, the master of the Ning family, who had been observing the three people in a sorry state for a while, couldn't help but ask, "Who is this?" Chapter 22:15, Rhymes Hatred 2. Two of Wu Cheng's subordinates and Yaoji. A cold glint flashed across Lung Ruakshu's eyes as she spoke coldly. How do you plan to deal with them? Master Ning couldn't help but ask curiously when he saw Lung Ruashue bringing the three of them back. I plan to send Yaoji to hell. As for the two leaders of the men in black, I haven't thought of them yet. Lung Ruashue said with a smile. Hearing the word hell, Master Ning felt a little sympathy for Yaoji. However, she brought this on herself and couldn't blame anyone else. At this moment, Shen Nuo, who had also been observing the two leaders of the men in black for a long time, said with shining eyes, Shui, how about lending me these two guys to test medicine? What's the matter? Are the ones in the cell not enough for you to test the medicine? Lung Ruashue glanced at Shen Nuo and said helplessly. She did not know when it started, but the dignified vice president of the Alchemist Guild headquarters had actually become obsessed with refining poison. Furthermore, it had gotten out of hand. Although the Alchemist Guild's headquarters vice president was infatuated with refining poison, which was not considered a good thing for the people of the immortal realm, she would never admit that she was the one who led Shen Nuo astray. They're basically immune to it, so I need new blood, Shen Nuo said with an aggrieved expression. As for the two unconscious leaders of the men in black on the ground, when they heard the word blood, they actually trembled reflexively, but they still did not wake up. Hearing Shen Nuo's words, Lung Ruashue could only nod her head in agreement, and then reminded her, "Don't kill them. I still have use for them. Don't worry. I won't die. Shen Nuo promised. After he finished speaking, he happily carried the two unconscious leaders away. As for Yaoji, she was kept by Lung Ruoxue. At this time, the master of the Ning family remembered to continue the previous topic and said with a disapproving look, Shui, I'm afraid that Wu Yin already knows that you came back so openly. Godfather, we can't hide the fact that we're back from Wuchen. Moreover, I also want to test a reaction. Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly. By now, Long Ao and the rest should have returned to the clan. Wu Xian should be making a move soon. AI, you little girl. The master of the Ning family was at his wit's end when he saw Lung Ruoxue's audacity. However, now that he had seen Shui, his uneasy heart miraculously calmed down. He had to admit that Shui had become their backbone. He believed that the others must feel the same. Godfather, they'll return to my room to rest for a while. They'll have to trouble Godfather to help me arrange their living quarters. Lung Ruoxue saw the worried expression on her godfather's face and could only give him something to do so that he wouldn't let his thoughts run wild. After she finished speaking, she pulled the evildoer and disappeared. Master Ning stared at her angrily and sighed. However, he still enthusiastically did his part as a host and arranged accommodation for Dongfang Lin and the others. At the same time, Wu Xiao, who was in the Divine Lord's palace in the Imperial City, was furious. Thanks looking at his lord who had destroyed everything in the hall. The men in black who were kneeling in the hall all cowered and did not dare to make a sound. Trash! What a bunch of trash! Wu Wan furiously roared. With a wave of her arm, two of the huge pillars in the hall collapsed with a loud bang. Of the 4 huge pillars in the hall, only one was intact, while cracks appeared on the other pillar, and it was on the verge of collapse. Please calm down, master. The man in black beside Wu Han quickly advised when he saw Wu Han fly into a rage. However, he knew that his words were useless because he couldn't stop Wu Han's anger at all. Calm your ass. You bunch of trash. You can't even handle such a small matter. What use do I have for you? Wu Xian roared. Her originally beautiful face was completely twisted from anger. The reason why she was so angry was because she had received news of Lung Ruoxue's return to the land of demons. What did this mean? It meant that the group of people she had sent to exterminate the buried city had failed their mission. Otherwise, how could Lung Ruoxue be unscathed? In fact, there had been no news from the underground city. Although she had her suspicions, she never thought that those people might have been completely annihilated. After all, in her opinion, although Dongfang Yu and the others were not easy to deal with, it didn't mean that the people she sent would fail. One should know that she had asked the Dragon, Phoenix, and White Tiger race to each send 2 Reverend God level experts to assist her. Furthermore, before she went there, she had specially instructed her subordinates to stop their operations if they discovered any traces of the Totoro. Although Yaoji had told her that the Totoro was not with Lung Ruoxue, it was better to be safe than sorry. Therefore, before she sent her men there, she had basically considered all the possible events and thought that she had formulated a detailed plan. However, she did not expect her subordinates to leave without returning. Previously, she had always thought that her subordinates had not contacted her because their mission had not been completed yet. However, she now knew that they had failed their mission, and that was why they could not contact her. This fact made her exceptionally angry. She could not understand how Lung Ruoxue, Dongfang Yu, and the rest could have escaped her encirclement without Song's help. This was truly unbelievable. Even if Dongfang Yu had the title of war god, that was something that happened hundreds of thousands of years ago. Although Dongfang Yu's current strength was still at the peak of the divine realm, he was definitely not the strongest. Moreover, the 6 Reverend God level experts sent by the magical beasts were no weaker than Dongfang Yu. Hence, she could not figure it out no matter how much she thought about it. Wait a minute, could it be that Song was following Lung Ruoxue? Thinking of this possibility, the anger in her heart burned even more. She didn't think that Yaoji would dare to lie to her, but she felt that she was being too cautious. She was actually afraid that Lung Ruoxue would leave Song in the land of evil demons, so she didn't dare to attack the land of evil demons. The moment she thought of this, she regretted it so much that her intestines turned green. If she had known earlier, she would have encircled and annihilated the evil demon's land as well. That way, she might not have regretted it so much. But now that Lung Ruoxue had returned to the evil demon's land, she had clearly lost the upper hand. Song must be by Lung Ruoxue's side as well. Hence, it would be even more difficult for her to make a move on Lung Ruoxue. She was really unwilling to accept this. However, no matter how unwilling she was, she had to accept this fact. After taking a few deep breaths, Wu Yin calmed down a little. Then, she ordered the black robe man beside her, "Go to the Beast clan and check on their situation. My lord, our people haven't returned yet. Could it be that the Beast race has also been completely annihilated?" The man in black carefully guessed. "If I tell you to go, just go. What's with all this nonsense?" When Wu Jing heard the black-clothed man's words, she was not happy at all. Damn it! Did her orders not work? A dog beside her actually dared to question her orders. Chapter 22:16 Rhymes Hatred 3 Yes. The black-clothed man hurriedly replied when he saw that Wu Xiao was angry. He quickly left the hall. If he had left a second later, he didn't know if he would have been able to keep his life. After the black-robed man left, Wu Yin chased away all the other black-robed men who were kneeling in front of her. Then, she sat on the throne dejectedly. Damn it! Thinking of Lung Ruoxue, she couldn't help but feel hatred in her heart. It could be said that ever since she found out about Lung Ruoxue's identity, her hatred towards her had never stopped. She couldn't deny that she was jealous of Lung Ruoxue's good luck. Not only was she the imperial chosen successor, but she should have also received the approval of the universal bracelet. One must know that this was something she had always dreamed of. Unfortunately, she did not have the chaotic body. That lousy bracelet would not acknowledge her as its master. This fact made her extremely angry. Was the chaotic body that important? Why was it that only a person with the chaotic body who had been acknowledged by the bracelet could become the true lord of the divine realm? She had put in so much effort, but it could only be in name. She was really unwilling to give up, and she did not want to give up everything that she had worked so hard to obtain. Hence, she had to get rid of Lung Ruoxue. There was also Lung Ruoxue's chaotic body, which made her drool. Right now, killing Lung Ruoxue and taking her chaotic body had become her deepest obsession. She wanted to let you know that only she was worthy of standing by his side. Even if you had fallen, everything he had should still belong to her, and only her. She would never allow another woman to take everything that should belong to her. Lung Ruoxue. He had to die. But thinking of Song, that fellow who gave her a headache, she became deeply depressed. She could understand why Song would take a fancy to Lung Ruoxue. That fellow didn't even care about you. Yet he was interested in Lung Ruoxue. He seemed to have recognized her as his master. This fact made her even more jealous. Why was it that Lung Ruoxue could easily obtain the things that she could not obtain even after putting in so much effort? One must know that in order to gain Song's approval, she had tried to please that annoying fellow. However, that fellow did not bite at all and kept causing trouble for her. After that, she couldn't take it anymore and gave up. However, she didn't expect that Song would set his eyes on Lung Ruoxue. When did that bastard get to know Lung Ruoxue? Wu Xiao was quite curious about this. Suddenly, an idea flashed through her mind, and she remembered that time when Azure came to her for the flower petals. How detestable! That bastard must have done it for Lung Ruoxue, right? However, that detestable fellow actually told her that he was going to feed the flower petals from her original body to the pigs. Now that she thought about it, the pig that Song was talking about should be Bing Yao. After all, Bing Yao had just been injured by her. Unfortunately, she only remembered all of this now. If she had known that Song and Lung Ruoxue were in cahoots, she wouldn't have given the flower petal of her main body to Song, even if she had to die. She wouldn't have allowed Song to destroy her god, Lord's manor. But it was too late for her to regret now. At that time, she only wanted to get rid of that troublesome fellow as soon as possible. How could she have linked it to Lung Ruoxue? Furthermore, at that time, she didn't know that Lung Ruoxue was also Yes' disciple. And after knowing Lung Ruoxu's true identity, she recalled the situation she had found out about Lung Ruoxue, and her hatred for Lung Ruoxue grew even more. Now, she was even more certain that her clone was destroyed by Lung Ruoxue. Even though her subordinates had reported this matter to her at that time, she could not fully believe it when she thought of Lung Ruoxu's strength at that time. Hence, she had always been skeptical about this matter. After all, Lung Ruoxu's strength was too low in her heart. If she had known that Lung Ruoxue was Yes' disciple, she would not have let her guard down. Only those with the chaotic body could be recognized by the universal bracelet, and only then could they practice the sky-defying incantation and possess the chaotic divine flame. The chaos divine flame was definitely the nemesis of her clone. However, she believed that Lung Ruoxu's natal flame had not been cultivated to its peak. After all, Lung Ruoxu's power was there for all to see. Damn it, she must not allow Lung Ruoxue to cultivate the heaven-defying art to the 9th level. Otherwise, it would be even more difficult for her to deal with Lung Ruoxue. Ripple Mist made up her mind, but when she thought it song, she had a headache. If that fellow had stayed by Lung Ruoxu's side all the time, would she have had the chance to make a move? It was undeniable that in the entire God world, the person she hated the most was that fellow. Yet, that fellow had taken a liking to Lung Ruoxue. This fact made Wu Xiao furious and irritated. Immediately, she disappeared from her spot. Thanks on the other side, following Wu Xiao's orders, the black-clothed man had already rushed to the Phoenix clan's territory, which was the closest to the Imperial City, without stopping. The Phoenix territory was the habitat of the Divine Realm's Phoenix clan. In the past, the Phoenix territory had been extremely lively, beautiful, and prosperous. The Phoenix clan and its affiliated beast clans had lived there together. However, now, in the entire Phoenix territory, except for the Phoenix clan, all the affiliated beast clans had been forbidden to live around the Phoenix territory. Just as the black-robed man set foot on the land of the Phoenix clan, a red-robed woman attacked him with a furious expression. She yelled, "Audacious human, you actually dare to step into the Phoenix clan's territory. I think you've lived long enough. Wait, don't fight." The black-robed woman dodged the red-robed woman's attack with her sharp eyes. She immediately took out a token and said, "I'm from the Divine Master's estate." The woman in red glanced at the token and then at the man in black. She said angrily, "Oomph. With a broken token, you dare to pretend to be a member of the Divine Lord's estate. You're really bold." Obviously, she didn't believe the man in black's words at all and attacked him one after another. "I'm really from the Divine Master's estate," the man in black said anxiously. Although his strength was above the Phoenix's, he was here to inquire about information. Naturally, he couldn't fight with the Phoenix clan. However, the woman in red did not listen to his explanation at all. Instead, she attacked even faster. Seeing this, the black-clothed man could only release his pressure in a hurry. Instantly, the red-clothed woman's face turned pale, but the red-clothed woman attacked the black-clothed man without fear. Who is so bold to cause trouble in the Phone clan? Suddenly, an angry shout came from the inside of the Phoenix territory. Then, a phoenix with flames all over its body flew out of the Phoenix territory. After landing, it turned into a beautiful woman in her early 30s. Forefather, this human is impersonating a member of the Divine Lord's estate. As soon as the woman in red saw the beautiful woman, she immediately complained. Then, her clear phoenix eyes looked at the man in black provocatively. The man in black smiled bitterly when he saw her. "Senior, this one really is a member of the Divine Master's estate. This is my token." The black-robed man then passed the token that represented his identity to the Absolute Beauty. However, the beautiful woman didn't even look at the token. She just turned to look at the woman in red with a pampering expression and said helplessly, "Qing-er, you're being naughty again." "Ancestor, I didn't tea." The red-robed maiden by the name of Qing had an aggrieved look on her face as she spoke in a spoiled manner to the beautiful maiden. "You can leave first." The beautiful maiden ignored Qing Er's whining and directly commanded. Yes. Qing Er nodded unwillingly. Then, she secretly glared at the man in black before returning to the Phoenix territory with a face full of unwillingness. Seeing this scene, the black-robed man also understood that the little phoenix called Qing Er didn't believe his identity. That little phoenix was deliberately looking for trouble. However, as he was in the territory of the Phone clan, he couldn't show his dissatisfaction. Otherwise, he might not even be able to return to the Imperial City alive. At this moment, the beautiful woman's phoenix eyes slowly turned to the black-clothed man, and she asked indifferently, "The God Lord's estate? Did the mist send you?" "Yes." The man in black nodded respectfully. "What is it?" The absolute beauty lifted her eyelids and asked indifferently. "The Divine Master has sent this junior to see the Phoenix King. He has some questions." The man in black said honestly, "Come in. However, be careful when you speak. The king is not in a good mood." The absolute beauty warned. Then, she brought the man in black to the hall of the Phoenix clan. The man in black entered the main hall. After seeing the Phoenix King, he was convinced by what the beautiful woman had said. The current Phoenix King of the Phoenix clan was a woman. Moreover, she was an extremely beautiful woman. However, her beautiful face was now filled with anger. After seeing the man in black, the Phoenix King only snorted coldly and did not have any other reaction. Seeing this, the man in black was extremely embarrassed, and the dissatisfaction in his heart slowly rose. After all, he was the Divine Master's messenger. The Phoenix King's treatment of him was already considered a neglect. However, he did not dare to show his dissatisfaction. "Phoenix King, the Divine Master sent me here to understand the situation in the underground city." After bowing to the woman on the throne, the black-clothed man went straight to the point. "Why? Our Divine Master doesn't know the situation in the underground city, so he specially sent someone to me to ask?" When the Phoenix King heard the black-clothed man's words, she narrowed her beautiful phoenix eyes and said in an extremely cold tone, "To tell you the truth, the people that my lord sent to the underground city haven't sent back any news. Moreover, the underground city is far from the Imperial City. So, my lord sent me here to ask you if there is any news from the two divine reverends that you have sent to the underground city." The man in black said in a very reserved manner. He did not dare to tell the Phoenix King directly that the people he had sent might have been completely annihilated. Otherwise, if the Phoenix King were to be enraged, he could forget about leaving the Phoenix clan alive. "Sixth Elder, please explain the situation to this Lord Emissary." Hearing this, the Phoenix King smiled coldly and ordered. Chapter 22:17. Bounty Notice 1. The sixth elder that the Phoenix King was talking about was the beautiful woman who had brought the man in black into the hall. Hearing the Phoenix King's order, the beautiful woman turned her cold eyes to the man in black and said, "The two reverent god-level experts we sent have returned." "Really? How's the battle going?" This was what the man in black was most concerned about. "It's very tragic." The beautiful woman glanced at the man in black and continued, "Our two reverent god-level experts were both heavily injured. They only managed to escape with their last breath. From the bits and pieces they said before they fainted, we understood that the people sent by the God Lord's estate and the magical beast that went to assist them in the battle had all been wiped out. Only the 6 reverent god-level experts of our Phoenix, Dragon, and White Tiger race are still alive." The black-robed man's heart skipped a beat. Although he had already anticipated this situation, he still felt a chill in his heart when he heard the confirmation from the Phone clan. At the same time, he felt a sense of fear towards Lung Ruoshua and the rest. One had to know that they had sent quite a number of people, but none of them had survived. What did this mean? It meant that the other party's combat power was beyond their expectations. "Can I see the 2 reverent god-level cultivators?" the man in black asked after some thought. "Sure." The 6th elder looked at the Phoenix King and saw the Phoenix King nod slightly. Then, she took the black-clothed man to the 2 hierarch. When the man in black saw the 2 reverent god-level cultivators, the chill in his heart grew even stronger. "Oh my God, Was he still human? At this moment, the two reverent god-level cultivators were still in their human forms. However, they were severely injured and their skin was bruised. They were so swollen that they did not even look human. Originally, the man in black still had some questions he wanted to confirm with the two reverent god-level experts. However, when he saw that they were unconscious, he knew that he would return empty-handed today. The sixth elder of the Phoenix clan, who had seen through the black-robed man's thoughts, looked at him with a clear expression and said, "You don't need to go to the dragon race and the white tiger race either. The hierarch of their two races are also like this." "Thank you for telling me, sixth elder." The man in black thanked him sincerely, then left the Phoenix territory. As soon as the man in black left, Ching-Er jumped out from a corner and said to the sixth elder in a spoiled manner, "Old ancestor, why didn't you let him go to the white tiger race and dragon race? It's also good to let him make a wasted trip. What do you know, little girl?" The sixth elder shot a glance at Ching-Er, then poked her head with his finger and sighed helplessly. "AI." This girl had been protected too well by her. She didn't know that the human heart was sinister at all. What should she do? The sixth elder was extremely worried. Moreover, Ching-Er's thinking was too simple. What problem could be solved by letting the black-clothed man make a wasted trip? Perhaps the man in black would even hate him. How can I not understand? I know everything. If the two ancestors were not helping the God Lord's estate to eliminate the rebellion, how could they have been so seriously injured? It's all the fault of the God Lord's estate and those rebels. Ching-Er spoke with some anger. "Wretched girl, the Phoenix King has said that you are not allowed to discuss this matter. Do you want to be punished?" Upon hearing Ching-Er's words, the sixth elder quickly covered her mouth and looked around vigilantly. "Old ancestor, you're too careful. There are no clansmen here. What are you worried about?" Ching-Er pulled down sixth elder's hand and pouted her lips in dissatisfaction. Then she said in a fit of pique, "If you tell me who those rebels are, they'll stop talking about this matter. How about it?" "Thanks, I won't tell you." The sixth elder raised his head and said in a serious tone, "If you don't want to say, then don't say. I will find out one day," Ching-Er said angrily. After that, she stomped her feet and ran away. AI, looking at Ching-Er's back, then at the two unconscious people on the bed, the sixth elder's mood instantly fell. "Fengwu, when are you going to wake up?" After the man in black left the Phoenix territory, he did listen to the sixth elder's words. He did not head to the dragon tribe or the white tiger tribe. Instead, he returned to the Divine Lord's residence in the Imperial City and reported the situation to his master. After confirming this, Wu Xian was furious again. As expected, the entire army was annihilated. However, she knew that the two leaders of the men in black should still be alive. It was just that they must have fallen into the hands of Lung Ruoxue, Dongfang Yu, and the others. When she thought of this, Wu Ice immediately ordered, "Spread the news." "What?" The man in black, who was trembling with fear from Wu Xian's rage, looked at Wu Xian in confusion. "Are you a pig? Don't you understand my orders?" Seeing the black-clothed man's obvious dullness, Wu Yan's anger grew. "Master, please calm down. I just think that if this matter is exposed, it will be a great loss to the reputation of the Divine Master's estate." The black-robed man asked cautiously, "If others were to find out that the troops that the Divine Master's estate and the magical beasts had sent out to suppress the rebels had been wiped out, wouldn't the divine world be thrown into chaos? At that time, the people of the divine realm would definitely be in a state of panic. Then, use the name of the Divine Master's estate to issue a bounty notice. Say that Lung Ruoxue and her group are brutal by nature and have attacked the magical beasts. The Divine Master's estate will seek justice for the magical beasts and represent them in attacking Lung Ruoxue. The righteous men in the firmament can also participate in this bounty. Whoever kills Lung Ruoxue will be heavily rewarded by the Divine Master's estate." Wu Xian thought for a moment and said. The man in black's words gave her inspiration. Since she was wary of Tsang's existence and could not take action personally, she would use someone else's hands to get rid of Lung Ruoxue. She believed that there would definitely be brave men with great rewards. Furthermore, even if no one could kill Lung Ruoxue, she wanted Lung Ruoxue to live in fear every day. When she thought of this, her mood suddenly turned for the better. In fact, he was already fantasizing about Lung Ruoxue being like a stray dog, running around everywhere. She didn't believe that Lung Ruoxue, who was being hunted down every day, would have a peaceful life. Ha ha ha. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but laugh wildly. The man in black saw that Wu Jing was angry and then laughing, and he felt more and more uneasy. He didn't know why, but he felt that his lord's words were somewhat unreliable. It wouldn't backfire, right? Why aren't you doing it? Seeing that the man in black was still in a daze, Ripple Mist angrily urged him. Yes. When the black-clothed man heard this, he quickly responded and quickly retreated. The next day, the Divine Realm was shocked by a bounty notice from the God Lord's estate. The bounty notice stated that the Ascender Lung Ruoxue had coveted the magical beasts and had thus colluded with some traders from the firmament to attack the magical beasts, killing many of them. This had infuriated the magical beasts, and at their request, the God Lord's estate had issued a warrant for Lung Ruoxue and the others according to the laws of the firmament. Anyone with a sense of justice and conscience in the firmament, as well as the various magical beasts, could pursue Lung Ruoxue, regardless of whether they were the ones who had injured or killed her. All of them would receive generous rewards. Chapter 22:18. Bounty Notice 2. The moment this reward was announced, many people in the firmament went crazy. Some of them even daydreamed about getting the reward and living an enviable life. However, most of them were still calm, especially those who knew and understood Lung Ruoxue. They were all worried. The other protagonists of the bounty notice, the magical beasts, were surprisingly silent. Even if there were some magical beasts who did not know the truth, they were furious after hearing the news, but they were suppressed by their clansmen who knew the truth. In the hall of the Phoenix clan in the Phoenix territory, the Phoenix King sat on the throne with a frown. The elders of the Phoenix clan sat below her. At this time, they were all having a headache because of the revelation made by Wu Jing. Under normal circumstances, they did not wish for such a matter to be known to everyone. However, after Wu Ling's revelation, many people knew that a supreme divinity of the Phoenix clan had been injured because of Lung Ruoxue. As such, it had a bad impact on the reputation of the Phoenix clan. Furthermore, at this point, if they still did not care about this matter, the outside world would think badly of the Phoenix clan. The Mist Ripple clearly didn't want the beast race to stay out of this. As for them, they had to suffer in silence. In reality, the reason why the magical beasts had remained silent was because they were discussing countermeasures. After all, not all the magical beasts were willing to be used by the Divine Master's estate. However, if they continued to remain silent and did not express their stance, the outside world would think that they were afraid of Lung Ruoxue and the others. This outcome would be extremely disadvantageous to the magical beast position in the divine world. Therefore, not only the Phoenix tribe, but many other beasts who had participated in the siege of the underground city were also having a headache. They knew the truth, but they couldn't say it out loud. Otherwise, wouldn't they become enemies with the fog? Between Lung Ruoxue and Wu Cheng, they were obviously more inclined to Wu Cheng. After all, Wu Cheng was the master of the god world. As for Lung Ruoxue, no beast felt that she would be a match for Wu Cheng. As for the beast's previous crushing defeat, they all thought that it was because they had underestimated their enemy. After all, the beasts had not sent out all their forces. Otherwise, it was still uncertain who would win. After being forced to make a choice, 90% of the magical beasts seemed to have made a promise. 3 days later, they announced that Lung Ruoxue was the common enemy of the magical beasts. The appearance of this statement further strengthened the passion of some hot-blooded people in the divinity to capture Lung Ruoxue. In an instant, the land of evil demons was filled with people. Lung Ruoxue, who had been cooped up in her room, had no idea about this. In the garden of the Lung clan's main mansion, the master of the Ning family sat on a stone chair in the garden with a dark face, not saying a word. Uncle Long, who was sitting opposite him, was drinking tea with a relaxed face. As for the first elder and the others, seeing that the air pressure was so low, they didn't dare to joke as they usually did. They already knew about the reward offered by the Divine Master's estate. Damn it, when will that little girl Shui come out? Suddenly, the master of the Ning family slammed the table, which scared the first elder and the others. It was too terrifying, wasn't it? The great elder and the others shrank their heads, not daring to express any opinions on this matter, because Old Man Ning's temper had been very bad recently. They were scolded at every turn, and even Dongfang Yu and the others were not spared. Old Man Ning had hidden many grievances from them for implicating Shui. Why did you take out your anger on the table? Did this table offend you? Uncle Long glanced at the furious master of the Ning family and said calmly, "Thanks." Immediately, the great elder and the others looked at Uncle Long with admiration, because Old Man Ning didn't dare to scold Uncle Long even if he was angry. "I'm just in a hurry. It's in a few days and Shui hasn't come out of her room." The master of the Ning family looked at Uncle Long with a wronged expression. "Shui is tired. Let her have a good rest. You should calm down." Uncle Long consoled. He knew why the Ning family son was like this. In fact, he didn't think it was a big deal. Shui was not afraid of the people of Black River. "How can I calm down? It's a mess outside," the master of the Ning family said with a bitter face. Ever since Wu Yin had issued the reward, the land of evil demons had become lively, and the news he had learned through the Ning family had also made him more and more annoyed. Today, the second elder had told him that the Yao family had extended an invitation to the 8 great divine regions to discuss Lung Ruoxu's matter. He didn't need a guess to know that the Yao family definitely didn't have good intentions. If they want to make a scene, then let them. We can't mess up ourselves. Uncle Long comforted him calmly. "What's the mess?" Suddenly, a melodious voice entered the ears of everyone in the garden. When they heard this voice, they immediately became full of energy as if they had been injected with chicken blood. The master of the Ning family jumped up and ran in the direction of the voice, which frightened the owner of the voice. "Godfather, what's wrong?" Lung Ruoxu, who felt that something was wrong with her godfather, asked with a worried look. Shui am too excited," the master of the Ning family said awkwardly. "Girl, listen to this little guy's nonsense. He saw you come out and urgently wanted to tell you something." Song, who had long occupied Lung Ruoxu's embrace, exposed Master Ning's lie. Instantly, Master Ning's face turned red. "Godfather, what happened?" Lung Ruoxu raised her brows and asked calmly. "Shui, Wu Yin has issued a reward." Without giving the master of the Ning family a chance to speak, Uncle Long rushed to speak. The master of the Ning family, who had been interrupted, looked at Uncle Long with a wronged face, not daring to complain at all. Is there a bounty on me?" Lung Ruoxu blinked her beautiful eyes and asked in disbelief. She didn't know what kind of reason the fog ripple would use to put her on the wanted list. She was really curious. "Girl, see for yourself." This time, Uncle Long's chance to speak was taken away, because Tsang had directly thrown a notice of reward to Lung Ruoxu. Lung Ruoxu took it and started to read it from the beginning. The more she read, the more her brows furrowed. Master Ning, who was watching from the side, was so nervous that his heart was in his throat. Then, he heard his precious daughter's cold snort, and he became even more worried. "Shui, don't be anxious. Don't be angry." The master of the Ning family quickly comforted him. It would be a wonder if he wasn't angry. It's not a big deal that Wu Yin offered a reward, but killing me only gives 100,000 top-grade crystals. Am I that worthless? Lung Ruoxu roared in anger. These words made the master of the Ning family confused, and the others were also quite speechless. The female lead was not angry at herself being wanted, but angry at her reward for being too low. If this was known by Wu Yin, he wondered if she would vomit blood in anger. Girl, 100,000 top-grade crystals is a huge sum of money to the people of the divine realm. Moreover, aren't there still many precious medicinal herbs and medicinal pills down there? Azure smiled as he reminded. Chapter 2219, Bounty Notice 3. What kind of broken thing is that? You have the nerve to use it to put a bounty on me? Lung Rawashua said in a rich and overbearing tone. Everyone was speechless again. All right. They knew that Lung Rawashua was very rich, but she shouldn't strike down poor people like them like this. It should be known that the rewards offered by Fog Ice were good things that any major force would be envious of. Otherwise, most of the forces in the divine world would not have gone completely crazy after seeing this reward, in addition to the statement made by the Beast Clan. Now, most of the forces were ready to make a move. The only ones who hadn't expressed their stance were the 8 divine regions. And now, the time for the 8 divine regions to express their stance was not far away. Let's not worry about the item that Wu Yin is offering. Let's think about how to deal with this matter. If all the major powers are tempted by this bounty and join the team to hunt you down, you'll be annoyed to death by them. The master of the Ning family sighed and said with a worried face, haven't many forces already taken action? If they're willing to come, then let them come. I'm not afraid. Lung Rawashua said disapprovingly. Earlier on, Qingju had told her that there were many forces stationed at the foot of the demon's land. However, at the moment, those forces did not dare to act rashly and were only observing from the sidelines. Hence, Lung Rawashua guessed that they were probably waiting for someone to take the lead so that they could test her limits. Aren't you afraid of being annoyed to death by them? The master of the Ning family reminded. So what if I am afraid? Humans die for wealth, and birds die for food. Since they've set their eyes on that bounty, they naturally want back out of it. Lung Rawashua said. That's why we have to come up with a countermeasure as soon as possible. The master of the Ning family said anxiously. Then, he hesitated for a moment and said, the Yao family has already sent out invitations to the 8 divine domains to discuss matters regarding you. There's such a thing? Godfather, take me to the Yao family's old man and let me hear what he's up to. Lung Rawashua said with a smile. She was very interested in the Yao family's invitation. What I wanted to say wasn't to bring you to listen to the Yao family's plans, but for you to think of a countermeasure. Lung Rawashu's words gave Master Ning a headache. How could this girl be so heartless? He was worried to death, but this little girl acted as if nothing had happened. The Emperor was really not in a hurry. No, he was not that. Why don't I put up a bounty for the Mist too? Lung Rawashua thought for a while and smiled. What do you mean? Hearing this, the master of the Ning family blinked, his face full of questions. Azure clapped his paws in agreement. That's a good idea. She wants you, and you put a bounty on her, hee. Only then will it be fair. Then it's decided. Seeing Tsang agree, Lung Rawashua made the final decision. Wait, you want to put a bounty on Rhyme? What's the reward for her? The question marks on Master Ning's face increased. I've decided to expose my identity and help my master put an order for this ingrate. Lung Rawashua laughed evilly. She had wanted to keep a low profile, but a certain someone had forced her to do so. Since that was the case, why should she hide her identity? Anyway, their relationship was already destined to be hostile, and there was no possibility of reconciliation. To her, it was just to let others know her identity sooner, so she did not care about the time. Moreover, once this matter was exposed, she could also find out who her true friends were and take the opportunity to see people's hearts. This was killing 2 birds with 1 stone for her. As for Wu Xian, she didn't care if she was mentally prepared for her secret from hundreds of thousands of years ago to be exposed, because this was what Wu Xian asked for. To be honest, it was really out of her expectations that the Rhyme Mist would do such a crazy thing. She had imagined countless reactions from the Rhyme Mist, but she had never thought of this. Could it be that Wu Yin thought that pouring dirty water on him would cause trouble for him? Then she would be too childish. Thinking of this possibility, Lung Rawashua couldn't help but laugh to herself. In reality, it had to be said that Lung Rawashua was right. However, this was only one of the goals of Fog. However, no matter what Wu Jing's thoughts were, it was obvious that Lung Rawashua would not care. Since Wu Cheng was so shameless, there was no need for her to hide it for that woman. right? After making up her mind, Lung Ruoxue handed this matter over to Dongfang Lin. After all, Dongfang Lin was famous for his intelligence. Naturally, he would arrange the death of his master in a touching manner. Thanks. After arranging everything, Lung Ruoxue pestered her godfather again, asking him to bring her to the Yao family to listen. When Master Ning saw that Lung Ruoxue was determined not to give up until she achieved her goal, he could only nod helplessly. However, before they could leave, someone came to cause trouble. When she heard that someone was challenging her, Lung Ruoxue walked out of the Lung family's main residence in a natural and poised manner. She glanced at the red-robed lady who was glaring at her at the main entrance and smiled faintly. "Little Phoenix, are you here to offer me a contract?" "Of course not. You're Lung Ruoxue?" the red-robed woman asked loudly. "I am." Lung Ruoxue nodded slightly and did not speak anymore. She waited for the little firebird to continue. This red-robed lady was Qing Er. After she saw Lung Ruoxue, she couldn't describe her feelings. Even though she knew that the widely circulated news of the magical beast clan being attacked wasn't the truth, no matter what, the two patriarchs of the Phoenix clan had indeed been injured by Lung Ruoxue. Hence, after knowing that Lung Ruoxue was the murderer, she immediately came to find her. However, the moment she saw Lung Ruoxue, she felt a moment of regret. She did not hate this woman. Her anger had miraculously disappeared after seeing Lung Ruoxue. She did not know what she could do by coming to the Devil's Land on impulse. She was at a loss. Qing Er said after a long while. "Qing Er, did you come here to challenge me?" Lung Ruoxue asked with a smile. "Yes, you've injured the ancestors of our Phoenix clan, and would take revenge for them." When Qing Er heard Lung Ruoxue's words, she made her intentions clear. That was what she thought before she came here, but now she was not so sure. She couldn't tell Lung Ruoxue's strength at all. This could only prove that the other party's strength was above hers. Now, she felt even more that she had been too rash. The other party was able to injure her own old grandmadam. Wasn't she just waiting to be beaten up when she came to her door? Seeing Qing Er's hesitation, Lung Ruoxue smiled and said, "Little Phoenix, you're not my match. Go home quickly. The immortal realm is not safe. Be careful not to be caught and forced to make a contract. At that time, even your family's old ancestor can't help you." Lung Ruoxue chuckled to herself. She never thought that the Phoenix clan would have such a hot-blooded little phoenix. Seeing that this little fellow was here for her two beasts, she would not make things difficult for him. However, even if she did not have any designs on this little fellow, the others might not be unmoved. Her divine sense had already sensed a few eager peeping gazes. To dare to have ideas about this little phoenix under her eyes. He was really tired of living. With a single thought, Lung Ruoxue had already decided the life and death of those people. Song, who was in her arms, could sense Lung Ruoxue's thoughts. In the next second, Song had already darted out. After hearing a few screams, Song returned to Lung Ruoxue's arms. Naturally, Qing had heard the shrieks as well. She had also seen with her own eyes the rabbit that was in Lung Ruoxue's arms running out. In that instant, she was even more confused and unable to explain her feelings towards Lung Ruoxue. Beastie was naturally sharp, so she was very clear about the people at the foot of the mountain drooling over her. However, she had never expected that Lung Ruoxue would ask her beastie to kill people for her. This fact made Qing Er's feelings even more complicated. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue smiled at Qing Er and said, "Little Phoenix, they'll get someone to send you back." Just as Lung Ruoxue was about to ask Uncle Long and Dongfang Yu for help, she suddenly heard Qing Er ask in a soft voice, "Why? You're still young. You don't need to get involved in the grudges of the adults." Lung Ruoxue replied calmly, "I'm not young anymore." When Qing heard these words, she was a little angry. Not young anymore? Generally speaking, children who said that they were not young were actually children who had not grown up. Little Phoenix, you're being protected too well. Lung Ruoxue glanced at the innocent little phoenix and sighed. Uncle Long, Dongfang Yu, they'll have to trouble you to send this little fellow back to the Phoenix clan." Following that, Lung Ruoxue turned around and said to the two of them, "Uncle Long and Dongfang Yu nodded upon hearing this. However, Qingther didn't want to go back just like that, but her objection was in vain. Uncle Long directly knocked her out with his palm and carried her down the mountain. "Godfather, how did the beasts react to the bounty?" Lung Ruoxue asked Master Ning after watching them leave. When she saw Qing she suddenly remembered that the beast race would also have a reaction to this matter. After all, Wu Jing had used her attack as an excuse. If the beast race continued to keep their eyes closed, they would be despised by others. Most of the beasts have made a statement saying that you are their common enemy. However, the beasts that are on good terms with us are not on their side. The master of the Ning family said honestly. He was quite pleased with this. He also knew that if this had happened to humans, many of them would have most likely changed sides. This matter was also a test for the major forces who were on good terms with them. It would depend on their choice. However, compared to the magical beasts, the other factions' reactions to this matter were clearly not as firm and timely as the orcs. Chapter 2220. Disturbance in the Ning family. 1. However, he believed that those forces would make their stance clear very soon. At the very least, they could not remain silent forever. Whether they drew a line with Lung Ruoxue and the others or stood firmly on Xue and the other side, it was up to them. After Lung Ruoxue had a simple chat with her godfather, she still did not forget to remind him to bring her to the Yao family. The Ning family head was annoyed and helpless, so he could only agree to set off immediately. In fact, he didn't take the initiative to mention this matter because he thought that Xue would forget about it because of the little phoenix's interruption. Who would have thought that Xue would remember it so clearly? Moreover, he also understood that if he didn't bring Xue along, this little girl might run off by herself. After thinking it through, the master of the Ning family no longer resisted. But before he left, he felt that there were some things that he should still deal with. At the thought of this, Master Ning looked at Lung Ruoxue and said, "Xue, it's getting late. Let's set off tomorrow morning." He said, "All right." Lung Ruoxue nodded. The little phoenix had delayed her for a while, so it was not appropriate to leave now. After confirming the departure time, Lung Ruoxue had wanted to have a good chat with her godfather, who knew that Master Ning would say that he was tired and wanted a rest. Lung Ruoxue could only let her godfather go back to his room. It was only then that she realized that there were many people who said that they were tired and wanted to go back to their rooms to rest. First Elder, Lu Feng, Lu Yu, Xin Nuo, and the others were all in their rooms. In an instant, there were only Lung Ruoxue, the demon, Song, Dongfang Lin, Cheng Wu, and the others in the huge garden. Lung Ruoxue felt helpless about this. "Xue, those people seem to have gone to your godfather's room." Dongfang Lin looked at Lung Ruoxue carefully and said it in a reserved manner. "I know." Lung Ruoxue nodded. The helplessness in her heart grew deeper. What couldn't Godfather and the others say in front of him? Why did they have to say it in secret? Of course, she didn't think that her godfather and the others had any ideas. She was just afraid that they would be put in a difficult position because of her. After all, her godfather, the Great Elder, and the others all had huge forces behind them. Sometimes, they couldn't only consider her position. She could understand this. "Girl, don't be afraid. I won't leave you even if I leave you." Song could tell that Lung Ruoxue was in low spirits. He looked at evildoer provocatively and consoled him. "Xue, I won't leave you either." The demon hurriedly said after hearing this. "I can't leave Xue either. We're on the same boat, and I'm also on the wanted list." Dongfang Lin also expressed his attitude. "Thanks, Miss, is our God." Cheng Wu only said this one sentence and didn't continue. In fact, everyone knew that the pressure at home had been very low recently, but he would never believe that the master of the Ning family would do anything behind the miss back. After all, he had seen how much that old man loved his miss, but he didn't understand why he had to say something behind the miss back. This was really intriguing. Just as Cheng Wu and the others were sitting in the garden and letting their thoughts run wild, The first elder and the others who had been called to their rooms by the Ning family head also didn't know what Old Man Ning was up to, so they all looked at him with question marks. And Master Ning still didn't say anything, which made them even more nervous. After a long time, the great elder finally couldn't take it anymore. Old Man Ning, did you call us here just to accompany you in your big eyes and small eyes? If you have something to say, just say it. The first elder bluntly said, Shwe has been wanted for a few days. I haven't asked you about your plans these days. Now, since Shwe is not here, you can speak freely. Master Ning asked after taking a deep breath. What can we do? The great elder blinked his eyes and looked at the master of the Ning family. Damn, old man, are you playing dumb with me? You don't have any plans? Don't tell me the Armament Guild headquarters doesn't have any as well. Don't tell me that the Blacksmith Guild doesn't know about your relationship with Shwe, that you've been living off of Shwe for years. He Dongsher, the master of the Ning family, roared. And you, if you're not the vice president of the Armament Guild headquarters, then you are the vice president of the Alchemist Guild headquarters. You're so close to Shwe. Haven't you thought about the reaction of the Armament Guild and the Alchemist Guild headquarters? After he finished speaking to First Elder, the Ning family's master pointed at Lu Feng, Lu Yu, and Shen Na. However, when the few people who were called out heard Master Ning's words, it was obvious that they didn't care at all. Then, Lu Feng, Lu Yu, and Shen Na all looked at First Elder in unison, and even gave him a look. The First Elder, who had received the signal, sighed helplessly and said, Old Man Ning, if you're worried about us, why don't you worry about your Ning family? No matter what kind of reaction our two headquarters have, we can deal with it. After all, the alchemy masters and artifact masters of our two headquarters added together are not even 1/10 of your Ning family. However, if your Ning family causes internal strife because of this matter, at that time, you, the Ning family's ancestor, will be passive. The great elder's words were not alarmist talk, but he had kept it in his heart and did not dare to say it out loud, because he knew that Old Man Ning's mood was not very good. Therefore, he did not want to provoke him. But if he did not say it, it did not mean that the Ning family would be calm and have no reaction. Although he didn't have a large family behind him, he clearly knew the drawbacks of a large family. A big tree has withered branches. The Ning family was not as calm as it seemed on the surface. Shwe's matter might be the fuse that would cause the Ning family to split. Therefore, he had always been worried about the mood of the Ning family master and had adopted a tolerant attitude towards the violent temper of Old Man Ning. But today, since Old Man Ning had spoken about this matter openly, it also meant that they needed to be honest with each other. Otherwise, he would not have said it so directly. Hearing the Grand Elder's words, the master of the Ning family nodded very seriously and said, You're right, but he'll say the ugly things first. If anyone in the Ning family dares to find trouble because of this, it'll definitely drive him out of the Ning family, no matter who he is. Good. He had courage. Since Old Man Ning has said so, I can't be weaker than others. Today I will also say this. If there is someone in the Craftsman Guild who is provoked, I will also drive him out on behalf of the Craftsman's Guild. The Great Elder said with an expression of burning boats and cauldrons, Can you make the decision for the Armament Guild headquarters? There was still a guild leader in the Craftsman Guild, right? He will listen to you? The Grand Elder's words were very imposing, but the master of the Ning family was still half convinced. He has to give me some face. Besides, Miamo Yin and Lu Feng are definitely wearing the same pants. So even if he's stupid, he should know which one to choose, right? Besides, the Craftsmen's Association is independent from the time it was established and is not under the jurisdiction of the Divine Lord's estate. This was also what Master Yu wanted at the time. So we, the Craftsmen's Association, will never be afraid of fog. The First Elder said confidently. Chapter 22-21. The Ning family stormed, too. Since the founding of the Craftsmen's Guild headquarters, there had been a total of 3 presidents. The founding president of the guild headquarters had deep feelings for Master Yu. After Master Yu's accident, the president resigned from his position and disappeared. The one who took over the position was his disciple, who was the second president of the Craftsmen's Guild headquarters. The second president's temper was very similar to his masteress. He looked down on Wu Xian in every possible way and did not give a good look to the people of the Divine Lord's estate. Moreover, the blacksmith status in the divine world was very high. Therefore, the people of the Divine Lord's estate at that time could only tuck their tails between their legs in front of the Blacksmiths Association. At that time, it was also the most glorious time for the Craftsmen's Association in the divine realm. It was only when the third president took over the Craftsmen's Guild and Wu Yan's position in the divine realm was consolidated that the relationship between the Craftsmen's Guild and the God Lord's estate eased up a lot. However, the two of them were definitely not in a superior-subordinate relationship. After the two previous presidents of the Craftsmen's Guild had unloaded the heavy burden of the guild, they had actually disappeared without a trace. As for where they had gone, no one knew. Although the two previous presidents were not master and disciple in name with the Great Elder, they were in fact master and disciple. Therefore, the Great Elder had always paid close attention to their news. He even thought that they might have fallen into the hands of the fog as a result of the fog's revenge. However, the possibility of this was very low. After all, the two presidents were not weak. If they had really fallen into the hands of the fog would definitely not let go of the opportunity to control the Armament Guild headquarters. However, such a thing did not happen now. At the same time, the First Elder was also well aware that the two of them were still alive and well because their jade plates of life were still intact. This was the only thing that made him feel gratified. As for the current president of the Craftsmen's Guild headquarters, although he was very cunning in some ways, but now this president basically did not care much about the affairs of the guild. And now, the original 3 vice presidents of the guild headquarters had become 2, and these 2 had an unusual relationship with Xue. Therefore, the Great Elder was not worried that anyone in the Craftsmen's Guild would dare to rebel, unless that person's brain was kicked by a donkey. Thinking of this, the Great Elder was more confident in his words, and Lu Feng naturally did not need to worry. Shenhua and Lu Yu were also very confident in the Alchemist Guild headquarters. After all, the relationship between the 3 vice guild leaders of the Alchemist Guild headquarters was very good, and in terms of importance, the Alchemist Guild headquarters was a level higher than the Blacksmith Guild headquarters. After all, one could not use weapons and equipment, but one could not guarantee that one would not be injured, right? Therefore, alchemists were absolutely not to be offended. After the First Elder finished speaking, Shenhua also solemnly represented the Alchemist Guild to express her attitude. Master Ning, the Alchemist Guild always has us 2 vice guild leaders here. You don't need to worry, Shenhua said with a smile. He had obtained many precious medicinal ingredients from Xue, so even if he was short on hands, he still had to firmly stand on that girl's side. Moreover, how could he not know what kind of strength that girl had after being with her for so long? They had been living here since the end of the elite gathering. Maybe I'm just worrying for nothing, but I hope things will be as easy as you say. The master of the Ning family suppressed the uneasiness in his heart and sighed. Old man Ning, you have to believe us. We will definitely stand on Xue's side. No matter what kind of pressure there is from the outside world, it will not shake our determination. First Elder consoled. When Lu Feng and the other 2 heard this, they quickly nodded. I'm finally not wrong about you. The master of the Ning family was proud. When First Elder and the others saw this, they could not help but chuckle. Thanks. After the heart-to-heart talk, Master Ning and the others left the room one after another. Lung Ruoxue, who was in the garden, saw that her godfather and the rest had come out. Her godfather seemed to be in a good mood, so she relaxed and teased, "Godfather, are you guys done resting?" "Yup. Xue, we're setting off tomorrow morning. Why haven't you rested yet?" Seeing that Lung Ruoxue and the rest were still sitting in the garden and chatting, Master Ning deliberately put on a stern face. "I'm listening to Lin tell me about Master. While you're at it, wait for Uncle Long and Dongfang you." Lung Ruoxue laughed. "Oh, really? Then we'll listen as well." The master of the Ning family was interested and added, "I don't think Uncle Long and Dongfang you will be back so soon, right?" "Who said that?" As soon as the master of the Ning family finished speaking, everyone saw Uncle Long and Dongfang Yu walk in. Hee, Godfather is wrong. They are back. Lung Ruoxua laughed evilly. The Phoenix territory isn't close to here. How did you guys come back so quickly? The master of the Ning family asked curiously. Even if the Divine Lord was fast, it would take 3 or 4 days to go from here to the Phoenix territory. However, these two people only took a few hours. He could not help being surprised. We didn't go to the Phoenix territory. Uncle Long glanced at the master of the Ning family and said unhappily. Lung Ruoxua and the rest perked up when they heard that there was something wrong with Uncle Long's tone. They all looked at Uncle Long and Dongfang Yu with sparkling eyes, making the two of them speechless. We met 2 old phoenixes on the way. They started fighting with us without saying anything. Dongfang Yu explained. Isn't that little phoenix called Qing here? Lung Ruoxua understood. There must have been some misunderstanding with the 2 old phoenixes. At that time, the little phoenix was unconscious. The 2 old ones thought that we were bullying their family's younger generation and wanted to fight us to the death. When Dongfang Yu said this, he glanced at Uncle Long and forced a smile. He clearly remembered that Uncle Long had admitted that he was the one who had knocked out the little phoenix. Uncle Long, didn't you explain to them? Lung Ruoxua could not help but ask. We didn't have the time. They asked me who knocked out little phoenix. I said I didn't have the chance to say what I was going to say next. And they started fighting with us. You bastard. The Feng clan has always been so barbaric. I'm going to stay far away from them in the future. Also, let's not meddle in these things in the future. Those little fellows were disobedient. Even if they were captured by humans and forced to recognize them as their masters, they were the ones who asked for it. Let's not waste our efforts. Uncle Long complained. Now that he thought about it, he still had a stomach full of anger. Uncle Long, the ancestor that the little phoenix was talking about, is my beastie, so I can't just ignore it. But don't worry, there won't be too many of such things. In the future, if any small beasts come looking for me, they'll just leave them here and wait for their parents to come and claim them. Is that okay? Lung Ruoxua tried her best not to laugh as she coaxed him. And Uncle Long nodded in satisfaction. Seeing that Uncle Long wasn't so angry anymore, Lung Ruoxua took the initiative to change the topic and said, I'm going to Yao family with Godfather tomorrow morning. Who else wants to go? Little girl, we're not going to have fun, so there's no need for so many people, right? Before the others could react, the master of the Ning family quickly reminded them. He felt that if he brought he couldn't leave behind Little Yi and Senior Tsang. Including him and for people and 1 beast were enough, so he didn't plan to bring anyone else. Otherwise, if they went down the mountain in such a grandiose manner, wouldn't it be equivalent to sending living targets to the group of people at the foot of the mountain? Chapter 22-22 The Ning Family Storm 3 It doesn't matter, it's more lively with more people. Lung Ruoxua didn't take this trip to the Yao family seriously at all. Furthermore, she really did have the thought of going out to relieve her boredom. She felt that in the past few days, Uncle Long and the others must have been holding a grudge in their hearts because of the reward notice from Wushan. If this grudge couldn't be released in time, what if it caused the people around her to be suffocated? Hence, for the sake of their health, Lung Ruoxua also hoped that they could go out with her to relax. As for those people at the foot of the mountain, if they were willing to guard it, then let them do so. She would just treat it as if they were watching over her house. I don't go out, but I still have to consider our bounty. Dongfang Lin said softly. The bounty on their side was also a counterattack against the Fog Ice sect. It was considered an official declaration of war against the Fog Ice sect. Therefore, he regarded it more seriously than Lung Ruoxua. However, he was also quite interested in Lung Ruoxua's suggestion. Hence, he was in a dilemma. Thinking while strolling will help you write a touching reward. Lung Ruoxua coaxed. Really? Then I'll go. Hearing this, Dongfang Lin immediately made his stand. I'll go too, Uncle Long said. With these 2 people taking the lead, The people present were actually eager to follow the Yao family to see the show. Seeing this, the face of the Ning family's master darkened. Do you really think we're going out for a scenic tour? The master of the Ning family stood up from his seat in anger and roared. Old man Ning, calm down. Actually, it's not like there are no benefits for us to go. At least, we can see the ugly faces of some people with our own eyes, and if you get into a fight with them, we can help. First Elder saw that the master of the Ning family was furious and quickly comforted him. Godfather, everyone should go. When they're free, they can just stay in the house. If there's a commotion, they can see it through the house. If anyone wants to come out for a breath of fresh air, just let me know. It's fine if they don't want to come out, just like when they're at home, nothing will be affected. Lung Ruoxue also consoled him. Right. Xue and I have our own houses, enough for everyone to live in. Furthermore, we promise to be obedient and not cause any trouble for you. The first elder guaranteed on behalf of the group. Hearing this, the master of the Ning family was particularly helpless. Moreover, seeing the eager eyes of everyone present, he could only nod in agreement. Just like that, the next morning, Lung Ruoxue and the rest led the large group and set off. Of course, on the surface, there were only Lung Ruoxue, the evildoer, master of the Ning family, and Song. In order to hide from the public, the 3 humans and 1 beast had specially consumed the appearance-changing pill. This time, Song had changed into the appearance of a cat. When the 3 people and 1 beast went down the mountain, they did not attract the attention of many forces at the foot of the mountain. Those people thought they were from other forces. How could they know that the Ning family's main residence had long been empty? After they were far away from the territory of the demonic lands, Lung Ruoxue moved Uncle Long, Dongfeng Lin, Dongfeng Yu, Ao Jia, and the others out. The team of 3 people and 1 beast instantly grew a lot. Looking at this group, the master of the Ning family was a little depressed. He didn't want to bring so many people. After all, they had to go back to the Ning family before going to the Yao family's divine realm. If some blind people in the Ning family said something they shouldn't, wouldn't he lose all his face and dignity in front of these people? However, when he saw the strength of these people, he was rather gratified because the combat power by Xue Er's side was definitely not weaker than any of the 8 great divine regions. In his opinion, the people around Xue were even stronger than the Ning family. Ning family boy, don't dawdle, quickly bring us to the Ning family. Uncle Long couldn't help but smile and urged the master of the Ning family. Yes, the master of the Ning family nodded and summoned his flying beast. He carried Lung Ruoxue and the rest and flew straight to the Ning family's divine territory. After arriving at the Ning family's god domain, they didn't waste any time and headed straight for the Ning family's main city. The Ning family's second elder, who had received the news long ago, had already brought people to stand at the city gate in advance, respectfully waiting for their arrival. The second elder of the Ning family learned from his master that the former war god of the divinity, Dongfeng Yu, and the others were with him this time. He was so nervous that he didn't know where to put his hands and feet. Lung Ruoxue and the rest had just reached the city gates when her sharp eyes spotted Second Elder looking around cautiously. Second Elder, Lung Ruoxue called out softly. Second Elder raised his head and saw his clan head with a serious expression. He quickly jogged over to welcome him. Patriarch, seniors, welcome. Welcome. The second elder of the Ning family said very enthusiastically, but the cold sweat on his forehead revealed his nervousness at the moment. You're really welcoming us? We're in big trouble now, aren't we? Uncle Long teased. Thanks. Upon hearing this, the second elder's cold sweat dripped down even more. Because other than his own family head, the others were all in disguise, so he didn't know who the person who ridiculed him was. The only thing he could be sure of was that these people were all older than him, and he couldn't afford to offend any of them. Uncle Long, stop teasing the second elder. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue kindly helped second elder out of his predicament, and she received a grateful look from him. Ever since Lung Ruoxue's relationship with second elder and the others improved, second elder had become her staunch supporter. Naturally, Lung Ruoxue would have to take care of him. And because of Lung Ruoxue's care, second elder status with the family head naturally rose in a straight line. Thus, second elder was happy to return the favor. Therefore, other than the family head, second elder had no lack of contact with Lung Ruoxue and would chat with her when they were free. After calming down, the second elder looked at Lung Ruoxue and said to his family head with a serious expression, "Master, third brother is back. When did you come back?" Hearing this, the master of the Ning family couldn't help but frown and ask. 2 hours ago, the second elder quickly said, "Oh, you don't have to report to me about such a small matter." The master of the Ning family said indifferently, "Master, as soon as third brother came back, he wanted to go to the land of demons to find you. But I stopped him." The second elder wanted to say something, but he stopped. Although he only said half of it, the master of the Ning family already understood what he meant. "I know." The master of the Ning family nodded slightly, then led Lung Ruoxue and the rest towards the Ning family's main residence. When they arrived at the main residence and settled Lung Ruoxue and the rest, Master Ning ordered second elder to bring third elder to his study room. In the study, as soon as the third elder saw the master of the Ning family, he immediately said straightforwardly, "Old ancestor, the divine master's estate is offering a reward for Lung Ruoxue's arrest. Hence, I think we should draw a clear line with her immediately. Otherwise, we will incur the wrath of the masses in the divine world." "What did you just say?" Hearing this, Master Ning narrowed his eyes and his tone became colder. "I said that we should draw a clear line between us and Lung Ruoxue, so that we won't be implicated by her. After offending the divine master, she still wants to establish herself in the divine realm. Isn't that a fool's dream?" Although the third elder was very afraid of his father, he still mustered up the courage to say it. Moreover, he felt that he was doing this for the good of the Ning family. With this thought, his confidence also increased a lot. "Is this your personal idea?" Or, Master Ning asked, slightly raising his eyes. "I've asked many elders, and they all have the same idea." The third elder quickly said, "In that case, bring all the elders who have this idea to me. I want to hear them say it themselves." The expression on Master Ning's face was very calm, and no one could guess what he was thinking. Yes, hearing his own father's words, third elder was secretly happy. He felt that there was a way. Then, he turned around and left Master Ning's study. After he left, the second elder said worriedly, "Master, I didn't expect him to be back in such a short time, and already, the second elder was clear that third elder had always hated Lung Ruoxue to the core because of the previous incident. He had also thought that Lung Ruoxue would make things difficult for him because of this incident. However, second elder had never expected that third elder would be able to convince a portion of the elders to stand on his side within a short 2 hours of his return. But when second elder saw the number of elders third elder had brought into the study, second elder's heart instantly became cold, because the number of Ning family elders who had the same thoughts as third elder was at least half of all the Ning family elders, and many of them were his people. Seeing these people, the second elder couldn't help but tremble with anger, and those elders who had originally followed his lead all lowered their heads, not daring to look at him. "You all want me to draw a clear line with Xue, right?" Master Ning's cold eyes swept over the elders before he asked, "Master, this is all for the safety of our Ning family." The third elder said with a righteous expression, "I'm not asking you. I'm asking them." The master of the Ning family reproached unhappily, "You guys tell me. Say it one by one." After yelling at the third elder, the master of the Ning family turned to the elders present. Chapter 22-23. Expelled 1. Master, I agree with third elder's suggestion. An elder trembled as he gave his answer under the intense gaze of the Ning family master. After someone took the lead, the other elders also said it one by one. After saying it, all the elders immediately heaved a sigh of relief. What if I don't agree? After hearing everyone's opinions, the master of the Ning family continued to ask, "Master, if you don't agree to this, then we can only announce that we are leaving the family. After all, the Ning family members are innocent. They can't become a sacrifice of Lung Ruoxu's battle with the Divine Master. As the third elder of the Ning family, I have to consider the interests of our family members. The third elder said in a righteous manner, "Oh, are you doing this for the benefit of your clansmen?" Hearing the third elder's words, the master of the Ning family couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Yes, the master only has Lung Ruoxue in his heart, while I only have the safety of my clansmen in my heart. The third elder nodded very seriously. If that's the case, then take these people who have the same opinion as you and leave the Ning family. The Ning family master's sharp eyes shot at the third elder like a knife, and his tone was also extremely cold. The elders of the Ning family, including the second elder, did not expect their master to make such a decision. Suddenly, all of them were stunned. The third elder was obviously caught off guard by this situation. After all, according to his original intention, he just wanted to leave the Ning family to let his father know their determination. But he didn't expect that his father would actually agree. This fact made him instantly dumbfounded. After he came back to his senses, the anger in his heart grew even stronger. Could it be that Lung Ruoxue was that important to the family head? For a woman who had no blood relationship with him, the head of the family was willing to give up his children and grandchildren? The third elder could not accept this result. He widened his eyes in disbelief and looked at Master Ning with tears in his eyes. He choked and asked, "Master, are you really our Ning family's old ancestor, my biological father? How could you be so cold-blooded? You're willing to abandon us for a woman who has no blood relationship with you? Have you ever considered our feelings? We are your descendants. How could you treat us like this?" The third elder choked with sobs. The other elders present also couldn't help but have tears in their eyes when they heard the third elder's words. They sobbed in low voices, but they didn't dare to say anything. The air pressure in the study room instantly dropped below 0 degrees. However, when the master of the Ning family heard the third elder's words, the expression on his face became colder and colder. He revealed a mocking smile and said, "You also know that I'm your ancestor and you're my grandson? I've lived for so long, but I've never heard of any family's descendants forcing their own ancestors to leave the family. You've really opened my eyes today. Clan head, aren't we doing this for the clan? Now that Lung Ruoxue is wanted by the Divine Master's residents and the magical beasts, if we continue to be too close to her, we will definitely be implicated by her. For the safety of the Ning family, we had no choice but to do this." The third elder said with an aggrieved expression, "There's no need to say anything more. I'll tell you clearly now that I will not draw a clear line between me and Shui. Don't even think of threatening me with leaving the family. From this moment on, you are no longer a member of the Ning family." The master of the Ning family said ruthlessly. It was time for the Ning family to be reorganized. This time, he would not be soft-hearted. Since these people wanted to threaten him by leaving the Ning family, then he would fulfill their wish. They would regret it one day. Thanks, the master of the Ning family was very disappointed because the great elder's words were still in his ears, and the heat had not even subsided, and the thing that the great elder had expected had happened in the Ning family. This fact made him quite lose face. After all, at that time, he was thinking that no one in the Ning family would dare to challenge his authority like this. He didn't expect that it had only been so long. The great elder's words came true. "Second elder, you supervise their departure. Divide a third of the west of the Ning family's god domain as their territory. They can also take away their own things. Their deadline is before tomorrow morning. I don't want to see them again." The master of the Ning family ordered, and then left the study angrily. The second elder, who had originally wanted to plead for them, swallowed his words when he saw this scene. This was because he knew that the family head had always kept his word. And this time, the family head was equally serious. "AI, go back and pack your things, and prepare to leave the Ning family's main residence." The second elder sighed, then looked at the third elder with dissatisfaction. "Second brother, The third elder called out with a dispirited expression. "Don't call me second brother. I'm not worthy," the second elder said coldly. He was also angry at the third elder's actions, so he didn't want to bother with him at all. After saying that, the second elder called over some guards and accompanied the elders to pack up their things. This time, it was not just these elders who were leaving. Their descendants, subordinates, and so on, all those who had a close relationship with them would be expelled. On this day, the Ning family was destined to not be peaceful. The other elders who had heard the news rushed over. After asking the second elder about the situation, they wanted to plead for mercy on behalf of the expelled elders to the family head. However, they were stopped by the second elder. "Second elder, we can't just ignore this," an elder said anxiously. "Once the master has decided on something, he won't change his mind. Don't go to him. It will only make him angrier." The second elder said helplessly, "Second brother, are we just going to watch the Ning family split up?" The seventh elder said worriedly, "I can't do anything about third brother's actions. You should know how important Lung Ruoxue is to the master. So, I'm not surprised that the master would make such a decision." It was because he was not surprised that he tried to restrain his clansmen after the reward incident. He was afraid that they would accidentally say something they shouldn't and anger the master. However, he didn't expect that he couldn't guard against his third brother when he came back. AI. The second elder's words made the seventh elder sigh. In fact, the third elder had looked for him before and tried to sound him out. However, at that time, he had very seriously advised the third elder to give up on that idea. At that time, although the third elder didn't clearly express anything, he didn't refuse either. Who would have thought that the third elder not only didn't give up, but also ridiculed many elders and threatened to leave the family? It was no wonder that the family head was angry. Now, the master had gone along with their wishes in a fit of anger, and the Ning family had been completely divided. "Second elder, seventh elder, why don't we look for young Miss Lung and ask her to help third elder and the others plead for mercy?" At this moment, an elder suggested. Chapter 22-24, Expelled 2. But in the next second, all the elders' expressions changed drastically. This was because a roar came from their hearts at the same time. "Whoever dares to bother Shui, because of this matter will be expelled." In an instant, the second elder and the others dispelled this thought. In Master Ning's room, the master of the Ning family gulped down cup after cup of wine. When the great elder sitting opposite him saw this, he could only shake his head and sigh. "Old man, why are you sighing? I've done what I said. Those who dare to threaten me were all driven out of the Ning family by me. Our Ning family doesn't need such a descendant." The master of the Ning family said tipsy, "Why do you have to do this? After all, they are your descendants." The great elder said helplessly, "It's precisely because they're my descendants that I've only driven them out and given them a third of my territory. Otherwise, do you think I'd let those who threaten me live? Don't you always say that I have too many children and grandchildren? But now, the ones left behind were all obedient. At the very least, they wouldn't dare to threaten me." The master of the Ning family said with a bitter smile. Then, he poured himself another glass of wine and drank it all. "By the way, you can't tell this to Shui, do you hear me? Otherwise, I won't acknowledge you as my friend." Suddenly, the master of the Ning family pulled the head of the first elder and warned him very seriously. "I won't tell her, but have you thought about it? Paper can't hide fire. We can't keep this from her forever, right? When the time comes, if she finds out that you've chased your own children and grandchildren out of the Ning family for her, how will she face herself?" The first elder said with a worried expression, "Shui will understand me. She won't let her imagination run wild like you." He knew that Shui would agree with him, but he didn't want to put pressure on her now. "All right, since you've already made your decision, I can only support you." The great elder said, "This is more like it. Don't try to persuade me. Please don't." As Master Ning spoke, he passed out on the table. First elder shook his head and helped him to the bed. He covered him with the blanket and left the room. "How's Godfather?" The great elder had only taken a few steps after leaving Master Ning's room when he heard this. He was so scared that he quivered. After seeing the person in front of him clearly, he patted his chest in fear and said with a little dissatisfaction, "Little girl, are you trying to scare me to death?" I never knew that the great elder's courage was actually so small. Lung Roashua glanced at First Elder, who was pretending to be afraid, and teased him with a smile. Hee, it's not too late to know now. The First Elder laughed awkwardly. Then he pulled Lung Roashua to the side and lowered his voice. You know about it? With Song and Green Vessel around, do you think you can hide such a thing from me? Lung Roashua raised her brows and asked. All right, I knew I couldn't hide it from you, but can you pretend you don't know? The great elder requested. I'm just pretending not to know. Otherwise, I wouldn't be waiting for you outside. Lung Roashua said with a smile. That's true. By the way, girl, what do you think of this matter? The great elder asked again. Thanks, since this is Godfather's decision. Of course I won't interfere. We'd better wait and see. Lung Roashua thought for a moment. Actually, from her point of view, her godfather's actions were completely understandable. After all, it was normal for those people to want to draw a clear line between them and her. However, they should never have used this matter to threaten her godfather. This was something that she absolutely could not tolerate. Hence, with Lung Roashua's protective nature, she would never speak up for those people. However, she would not kick them while they were down, either. After all, Godfather's blood flowed in their bodies. At most, they would not mind their own business in the future. Of course, the premise was that those people would not come to her for trouble. Otherwise, after they were kicked out of the house by Godfather, she could not guarantee what kind of miserable end they would have. Everything would depend on the choice of those people. Lung Roashua really hoped that those people would know their own limits. She was also very touched by her own godfather's protection of her. Hence, at this moment, Lung Roashua had decided that if the Ning family knew what was good for her, she would love them as much as she loved them. Following that, Lung Roashua turned to First Elder with a smile. First Elder, if you're kicked out of the Armament Guild headquarters, I will definitely take you in. So don't be afraid. The great elder had just responded with an "oh" before he immediately reacted and stomped his feet in anger. Stinky girl, how could I possibly be kicked out of the Armament Guild headquarters? In the head elder of the Craftsman's Guild. That's hard to say. Lung Roashua sized up First Elder and blinked her beautiful eyes as she spoke with uncertainty. With that, Lung Roashua disappeared and ran away. Only the First Elder was left, stomping his feet in anger. The next morning, after Lung Roashua and the rest finished their breakfast, they prepared to head to the Yao clan's god domain. It was as if everything that had happened the previous night had never happened. The Ning family was still as calm as ever, but only the Second Elder and the others knew that the Ning family had not been peaceful last night. Under his supervision, the Third Elder and the others packed up and left the Ning family's main residence. Although many elders had tears of regret in their eyes, it was too late. After they left, the Second Elder and the others had to remind those who knew the situation to act as if nothing had happened. No one was allowed to show any emotion on their faces, or they would be punished by the family law. Hence, what Lung Roashua saw was a group of Ning family elders forcing a smile. However, she had to pretend that she didn't know anything about this matter. Because this was Godfather's intention, she had to cooperate. At the entrance of the Ning family's main residence. Little girl, this time, Seventh Elder will accompany you to the Yao family. He'll stay at home to look after the house. The Second Elder, who had come out to see off the family head and the others, said to Lung Roashua nonchalantly, Yes, take good care of the house. When there's nothing to do, you must close the door tightly. Don't run around. The divine realm is very chaotic. Be careful not to be caught by fog and become fertilizer for her flowers. Lung Roashua warned him seriously. Then she saw the Second Elder's face turn black. He was obviously frightened. Don't be afraid. You're a reverent god. Unless Wu Cheng comes personally, no one can capture you. Seeing the Second Elder's darkened face, Uncle Long threatened him again. Hearing their parting advice, the second elder couldn't help but tremble. He was on the verge of tears. These bad people, don't scare people like this, okay? He had been very obedient recently, so why did he still bully her? Actually, Lung Roashue felt that the atmosphere of the farewell was not too good, so she wanted to liven up the atmosphere so that everyone would not be so nervous. But now, while the others seemed to be happy, second elder was on the verge of tears. Chapter 22-25 Expelled 3 AI. Poor second elder. Lung Roashue patted him on the shoulder sympathetically, then casually threw him a jade bottle. When second elder saw it, he immediately broke into a smile, no longer caring about Lung Roashue and Uncle Long's bullying. Lung Roashue could not help but chuckle to herself when she saw the second elder's attention on the pills in the jade bottle. This old man was getting easier to please. Then, she gave a look to the rest of the group, and they quickly got on their flying beasts and flew away from the Ning clan's divine realm. By the time second elder reacted, Lung Roashue and the others had already disappeared. The Yao family's divine territory wasn't too far from the Ning family's divine territory. If they flew at full speed, they could reach it in 5 days. Thus, they arrived at the Yao family's divine territory at noon on the 5th day. 100 Bird City. It was an ancient city with a long history, and it was not Lung Roashue's first time here. The last time they came, it was to get rid of Xiao Bing, and this time, it was to accept the Yao family's invitation. Of course, the Yao family had only invited the Ning family this time. Lung Roashue had nothing to do with it, so she was just a bystander. Walking on the streets of 100 Bird City, Lung Roashue gave her godfather and great elder a look of tacit understanding. Then, like a happy bird, she pulled the demon and strolled around the streets. However, after consuming the disguise pill, their appearances were really a little apologetic. Therefore, wherever they went, they could be said to have suffered from all the eye rolls. Lung Roashue was very depressed about this. Although she did not have a stunning face now, it was not to the extent that people would hate her, right? However, at this moment, in the eyes of the pedestrians on the street, she was like a fly that was being despised. Why was this so? Lung Roashue could not understand. Girl, did you suffer a blow? The master of the Ning family, who had been watching coldly from the side, laughed and joked. A little. They didn't do this the last time we were here, right? Lung Roashue could not understand. Last time was last time. In fact, the Yao family's people in the divine realm have always been like this. They only like beautiful things and reject things that aren't so beautiful. It's just that your feelings last time weren't so obvious. The master of the Ning family said very vaguely. The moment Lung Roashue heard this, she understood. Her godfather wanted to say that she didn't disguise herself the last time, so she didn't feel the rejection. But now she could feel it deeply. However, she also found it unbelievable. She didn't expect the Yao family in the divine realm to judge people by their appearance. Last time? What last time? What's going on? The evildoer who heard their conversation asked with a puzzled look. When I was brought to the divine world by the Ing clan's patriarch, godfather, and great elder brought me here once. Lung Roashue explained softly. Oh, the evildoer gritted his teeth when he heard this. At the same time, he hated mastering. If it wasn't for that old man messing things up, how could he not have been involved in Shui's matters? At this moment, the seventh elder's voice rang out. Master, the Yao family has sent someone. When Lung Roashue heard this, she immediately kept quiet and played the role of a servant girl, standing behind Master Ning with the demon. Then, she heard an extremely enthusiastic voice. Hello, Master Ning. Master heard that you come in person and specially sent me to welcome you. A short, chubby man appeared with the voice. The man looked very ordinary, and his height only reached the chest of the Ning family master. However, with his chubby body, he looked like a ball. Seeing this person's appearance, Lung Roashue couldn't help but think to herself, just based on this person's appearance, the Yao clan from the divine realm actually dares to reject me? Are you kidding me? Of course, she would never say this out loud. However, Her impression of the Yao family's divine realm had worsened. When a master of the Ning family heard the ball's words, he only raised his eyebrows slightly and asked, "And you are?" "I'm a ninth elder of the Yao family. Don't you recognize me?" The man who claimed to be the ninth elder of the Yao family looked at the master of the Ning family with resentment. Hearing this, the master of the Ning family couldn't help but shiver. He wiped the cold sweat from his forehead without changing his expression. This meatball was the ninth elder of the Yao family? He didn't hear wrong, did he? Although he had only met the ninth elder of the Yao family once, the ninth elder he had met last time was definitely not the one in front of him. "Thanks, Master Ning. I had a little accident, so I became like this." Seeing the confusion of the master of the Ning family, the ninth elder of the Yao family told the truth. "I see." The master of the Ning family nodded, then glanced at the ninth elder of the Yao family with sympathy and said politely, "The Yao family head is really too polite. He actually specially sent someone to pick us up." "Hee, that's what I should do." The ninth elder of the Yao family smiled so widely that his eyes narrowed into slits. The truth was that the head of the Yao family thought that they were moving too slowly, so he had sent him on this trip. Then, the ninth elder of the Yao family showed his flying beast and made a gesture of invitation. "Master Ning, we'll take you to the main city. Please don't stand on ceremony." "Ninth elder, of course I won't stand on ceremony with you. However, your flying beast is so thin and weak, and there are so many of us. Can it carry us?" Glancing at Elder Yao Jiao's flying beast, the head of the Ning family said with a worried expression. Elder Yao Jiao's flying beast was a pigeon. Of course, pigeons in the immortal realm were definitely much larger than ordinary pigeons in the lower realm. However, no matter how large a pigeon was, it couldn't compare to birds of prey like eagles and condors. Thus, the Ning family head had asked this question. When Lung Ruoxue heard Master Ning's question, she laughed in her heart. The embarrassment on the Yao family's ninth elder's face also disappeared in a flash. Immediately after, Elder Yao Jun nodded his head with certainty and said, "Don't worry, Master Ning, it can carry you. If that's the case, then we won't be polite. Little pigeon, you've suffered." The master of the Ning family looked sympathetically at the white pigeon with a sad face, and then sat on it directly. After that, Lung Ruoxue and the rest also sat on it. Finally, it was the ninth elder's turn. That pitiful pigeon trembled slightly as it flew up. Lung Ruoxue looked at its wobbly appearance and was worried that it would not be able to hold on and throw them down. Seeing this, the Ning family's master frowned even more and said hesitantly, "Ninth elder, why don't we take our own flying beasts?" He was starting to pity the pigeon. It wasn't its fault for being small, but it was their fault for being overweight. Flying in a supergravity range was really dangerous. "Master Ning, it's a bit inappropriate for you to ride your own flying beast." In the Yao family's divine realm, the Yao family's people who were qualified to ride a flying beast could only ride this kind of exclusive and gentle pigeon-type flying beast. Otherwise, even if he was the ninth elder of the Yao family, he was not allowed to fly above the Yao family's divine realm. Before he left the Yao family, he did not expect that the master of the Ning family would bring so many followers and even maidservants. The result of his miscalculation was that he had to suffer the loss of this pigeon. Fortunately, the Yao family's main city was not far from here. He just had to endure it. Seeing the ninth elder's constipated expression, the master of the Ning family could only do as he pleased. In any case, even if this pigeon really couldn't hold on and threw them down, their lives wouldn't be in any danger. Maybe at that time, they would have a reason to slaughter that old Yao man. With this thought, Master Ning became calmer and calmer. After flying with great difficulty for nearly an hour, the poor pigeon finally brought them to the Yao clan's main city. The moment it dropped Lung Ruoxue and the others off, the little pigeon was completely exhausted. Lung Ruoxue glanced at the little pigeon that was panting heavily on the ground. Even though she sympathized with its plight, she had no intention of helping it. After all, this pigeon belonged to the Yao family, and the Yao family should be considered her potential enemy. Who knows, After this meeting, she might fall out with the Yao family. So, she could only support this little guy in her heart. Master Ning, please follow me. After putting away the exhausted pigeon, the ninth elder of the Yao family led the master of the Ning family and the others into the main house of the Yao family and to the guest house. After settling them down, the ninth elder of the Yao family immediately went to see his family head and reported to him. Hearing that the master of the Ning family had been brought here, the master of the Yao family let out a long sigh of relief. Although he didn't expect the master of the Ning family to come in person, knowing that the old man had really come, his heart was not at ease. Originally, he had called for the meeting of the 8 families and sent an invitation to the Ning family just to test the Ning family's attitude. He even thought that the old thing of the Ning family wouldn't come in a fit of anger. But who knew that the old man would actually come? So be it. He even began to wander around the Yao family's divine territory. As a result, when he received the news, he immediately became nervous. Otherwise, he wouldn't have specially sent the ninth elder to pick him up. However, now that he had brought her here, he felt that she was a hot potato. He was even more afraid that the old thing would cause trouble for him. Therefore, the plan he had thought of before seemed to be useless. AI. The head of the Yao family was so worried that he felt that his hair had turned white. The head of the Yao family was flustered because of the arrival of the head of the Ning family. But the head of the Ning family in the guest courtyard didn't treat himself as an outsider at all. First, he ordered the people sent by the Yao family to serve him in a circle, and then he began to nitpick on the Yao family's food. In the dining hall of the Ning family's guest house, looking at the colorful, fragrant, and delicious food on the table, Master Ning's brows furrowed deeper and deeper. Then, he suddenly slammed the table and shouted, "Didn't I say that I don't want to eat this pig feed? Why did you bring it to me again? Master Ning, I've remade it several times. It's definitely made according to your requirements. Try it." The butler was sweating profusely, and his heart was already filled with tears. Woo, this ancestor was too difficult to serve. Chapter 22-26. Badly Battered. 1. If it wasn't difficult to serve, how could he be called an ancestor? Lung Ruoxue, who knew what a certain housekeeper was thinking, was also sighing in her heart. At this moment, the attendants and maidservants were all sitting at another small dining table and watching their godfather's display of power in the Yao family. Oh, to be more precise, it was Godfather who was venting his anger. Because of what had happened at the Ning family, Godfather was very unhappy. However, in front of them, he could only endure it. Now that he was at the Yao family, he could easily find an excuse to get angry, so there was no need to endure it anymore. Therefore, these unlucky people from the Yao family were the first to become Godfather's fire extinguisher. However, Lung Ruoxue believed that this matter was not over. In fact, she didn't want the Yao family to have an easy time either. After all, the Yao family was after her this time. If she didn't do anything, she would be looked down upon by the Yao family. Glancing at the evildoer, Lung Ruoxue realized to her dismay that if she did anything, the Yao family would not know. AI, forget it. It was impossible to have both sides perfect. This time, she would be an invisible hero. As she thought about this, Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but reveal an evil smile. At that moment, Dong Fengyu and Uncle Lian, who were sitting at the same table as her, started to feel nervous. Lung Ruoxue's smile had left a deep impression on the two of them. Ever since they had followed her back to the land of demons, every time they saw Lung Ruoxue smile like that, it meant that someone was going to be in trouble. In short, they had suffered a lot because of this. Even though Lung Ruoxue had accepted them, when that last pranked them, she would not hold back at all. Once, they were unlucky enough to let Shen Nuo test the medicine. Of course, they couldn't be blamed for this, because they wanted to eat the medicine out of curiosity. Whoa! That detestable girl actually made Shen Nuo make the medicine into the shape of a snack, and it was an extremely alluring snack at that. She placed it on the small table in the garden. In the end, their hands were cheap, and they took one to eat, and they fell for it. Therefore, it was not necessarily to mess with them. It was just that other than them, no one else was as greedy as them. From then on, whenever they saw food, they would be extra careful. Unless they saw Lung Ruoxue and the others eating it, they would not dare to touch it. They could still remember how Lung Ruoxue had laughed just like this. He just didn't know who would be the unlucky one this time. All of a sudden, Uncle Lien and Dongfang Yu felt an intense pain in their abdomens. In an instant, their faces contorted in pain. Then there was the sound of plates and bowls shattering and falling to the ground. Uncle Long and the others, who had sensed that things were not going well, also fell to the ground in pain. At this moment, Master Ning, who felt that something was amiss, turned around and saw that Lung Ruoxue and the rest had been knocked down. He stood up in a rage and pointed at the guest house's butler, who was already trembling, and shouted, "What's wrong with them? Can you explain it to me?" "I'm not sure." The poor butler was sweating profusely. He really didn't know what had happened to these people. Why did they all suddenly fall to the ground? The butler's face was full of fear and confusion. However, he was still a butler, so he could already feel that things were probably going to get worse. Thinking of this, the guest courtyard steward quickly said, "Don't worry, Master Ning. They'll go find someone to help." "No hurry, my ass. My people have all been harmed by your Yao family, and you're telling me not to be anxious?" The master of the Ning family roared angrily, then stretched out his foot and kicked the housekeeper who was about to leave to the ground. Thanks, however, his kick wasn't fierce, so the guest courtyard steward only rolled twice on the ground, then rolled and crawled to hide in a corner. His face was pale, and he looked at the Ning family master with fear. Master Ning, please calm down. I just want to find a ninth elder. I can't solve this." The butler thought for a moment before stammering. "Good. Go and find him and quickly get someone who can make decisions in your Yao family to get over here. I'm telling you, if even a single hair on my people is missing, they'll make your Yao family pay." After Master Ning said those harsh words, he quickly ran to Lung Ruoxue's side and helped her up to check on the situation. The guest house's butler, who was trembling in fear, took the opportunity to run out. After the housekeeper left, Lung Ruoxue, who had been pretending to be unconscious, opened her eyes slightly and gave her godfather a comforting look. When Master Ning saw this, he finally relaxed. However, he could not help but laugh and curse in his heart. This little girl, how could she think of this? She really scared him to death. Then, he looked at Uncle Long and the others. He realized that they were different. Dongfang Yu and Uncle Lien's conditions seemed to be more serious. Their faces were somewhat deformed. They had already let the audience down after disguising themselves, but now their faces seemed to be a little crooked. As for the others, other than the pain on their faces and their pale faces, they shouldn't be in as much pain as the two of them. With such a comparison, what did Master Ning not understand? AI, what a pitiful guy. Shui still hated the two of them. She didn't know when they would stop being treated so differently. At this moment, Dongfang Yu and Uncle Lien, who were in so much pain that they couldn't even faint, saw that the others had fainted so easily. What else did they not understand? Sob, they had been tricked by this girl again. Moreover, this girl had definitely put the medicine into the food in front of her. He was really ruthless. The two of them thought to themselves with lingering fear. However, they also knew that this time they were definitely not the only ones who were schemed against. That girl's target was probably the Yao family, and they would suffer along the way. But even so, they were already unlucky enough. However, when they thought that it was possible that only the two of them would fall for it, the two of them felt even more depressed. They would never believe that Lung Ruoxue would scheme against everyone. However, seeing how they all acted so well, the two couldn't help but sigh. It seemed like they still had a lot to learn. Just as the two of them were sighing and even losing consciousness from the pain, they saw a meatball rolling in from the corner of their eyes. This meatball was the ninth elder of the Yao family. When he received the news and heard that something had happened in the Ning family's guest yard, he immediately broke out in a cold sweat. After sending someone to report the matter to the master, he quickly came to see the situation. It would have been better if he didn't take a look, but the moment he did, he turned pale with fright. Apart from the master of the Ning family, Everyone else was lying on the ground, including the seventh elder of the Ning family, who had a very noble status. The seventh elder of the Ning family had a high status in the Ning family to begin with. This time, his status and position in the Ning family team were second only to the master of the Ning family. Therefore, when such a big figure was in trouble, the ninth elder of the Yao family couldn't control his cold sweat. Although the cause of this matter was still unclear, if something happened to the seventh elder of the Ning family and the Yao family would not be able to clear their name even if they jumped into the Yellow River. Chapter 22-27 Badly Battered Too? Then the ninth elder of the Yao family shouted to his followers who had followed him in, "You're all dead. Don't you know to help her into the room first?" Of course, those who were shouted at by him were some servants of the Ning family who were scared silly. After the incident, they were all frightened and terrified. Their minds had long been muddled, so how could they think so much? The attendants immediately reacted to the ninth elder's shout. Just as he was about to carry the unconscious people in a hurry, he heard Master Ning shout, "Who dares to touch them?" Hearing this, the ninth elder of the Yao family became worried. Many of these people had fainted, so what did he mean by not moving them? Was he going to lie on the ground and wait for death? Of course, he didn't think that the master of the Ning family didn't allow others to touch them because he wanted to use them as evidence. After all, it happened in the Yao family, and it was impossible for the Yao family to deny it. Because the master of the Ning family didn't play by the rules, the ninth elder of the Yao family was at a loss again. As for the servants of the Yao family, they were even more bewildered as they stood rooted to the ground. Some of the servants even made a gesture of lifting someone up, but now they didn't dare to move. "Master Ning, they'll catch a cold like this." After taking 2 deep breaths, the ninth elder of the Yao family gathered his courage and said, "Do you think gods are ordinary humans? How can a god catch a cold so easily?" Hearing this, the master of the Ning family couldn't help but say coldly, "I'm doing this for their own good. Don't worry, Master Ning. Our Yao family will give you a satisfactory explanation for this matter. So let's have someone send them back to their rooms first. We can't just let them lie on the ground forever." Elder Yao Jiao couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed when he heard the words of the Ning family's head. He also guaranteed that the Yao family wouldn't renege on their debt. In fact, his mind was clearly not calm at this time. Otherwise, he would never have said such words. After hearing his words, the master of the Ning family was indeed angry. "Do you think I didn't allow your Yao family to touch them because I was afraid that your Yao family would go back on their word?" The master of the Ning family asked coldly. Master Ning, I didn't mean it that way. I just wanted to make clear our Yao family's position. We will definitely give you a satisfactory explanation for this matter." The Yao family's ninth elder, who realized his slip of the tongue, quickly added. However, the master of the Ning family still didn't give him a good face. He took a deep breath and snorted helplessly, "I didn't let you touch them because I wanted you to find someone to figure out their situation first. Otherwise, if you touch them and make their situation worse, will you be responsible? I'll tell you clearly today that your Yao family must be responsible for curing these people. If any of them loses a single hair, your Yao family and I will never let this matter rest." Yes. The ninth elder of the Yao family nodded his head and bowed as he promised, "Don't worry, Master Ning. Well, definitely make them alive and kicking again." After making his promise, the ninth elder immediately ordered the ashen-faced housekeeper to find an alchemist to take a look at these people. After doing all this, the ninth elder of the Yao family led the attendants of the Yao family to stand in the dining room and enjoy the cold service of the Ning family master with a smile. At this time, no one dared to sneak away. Fortunately, the butler was fast enough. In less than 10 minutes, a man in his early 40s was brought to the dining room by the butler. When Elder Yao Jiao saw this, he immediately instructed, "Your Excellency Zongyun, please help these people take a look. Let's take a look at the seventh elder's condition first." Thanks, the Ning family's seventh elder had the highest status among these people, so Elder Yao Jiu routinely asked the alchemist to help him take a look. However, his move did not win the favor of the Ning family's master. Instead, he heard a cold snort. Suddenly, Elder Yao Jiu couldn't help but wonder if he had done something wrong again. However, regarding his own mistake, he had a blank and ignorant face. His Excellency Zhong Yun, who was also the Yao family's chief alchemist, came to the seventh elder after hearing his words and began to treat him carefully. In a short few minutes that Zhong Yun was examining the seventh elder, Elder Yao Jiu saw that Zhong Yun's expression was constantly changing, and he would even frown from time to time, as if he was puzzled and suspicious. His heart was immediately suspended in midair. Fuck, what did Zhong Yun mean by this? Elder Yao Jiu cursed inwardly. Sometimes it wasn't good for auxiliary personnel like alchemists to have too many expressions on their faces. It was easy for people to let their imagination run wild. Elder Yao Jiu had already imagined many bad outcomes in his mind, and the more he thought about it, the more his heart seemed to fall into an abyss. He didn't dare to imagine how the Yao family would explain to this old man of the Ning family if something happened to the Ning family. As everyone knew, the head of the Ning family was violent and protective of his own. Therefore, when he thought of the Ning family's head's personality, Elder Yao Jiu deeply felt that it wouldn't be so easy to deal with the aftermath of this matter. At this moment, he was really regretful. Why did he take on the job of receiving guests in the seven god domains? Look, it was only the first day, and the Ning family was in trouble. There was still a long time to go, because he was not sure when the meeting would end. After all, it had not even officially started. Elder Yao Jiu wanted to cry when he thought about the bitter days ahead, just as the ninth elder of the Yao family was letting his imagination run wild. Alchemist Zhong Yun had clearly finished his inspection. He lightly stroked his goatee and began to shake his head. Seeing him like this, Elder Yao Jiu really wanted to give him a few vicious kicks. You're done with the examination, so you can just tell me. Are you deliberately trying to make me anxious? As if he could sense Elder Yao Jiu's anxious mood, Zhong Yun stroked his beard and slowly opened his mouth. Master Ning, ninth elder, these people have been poisoned. Zhong Yun said indifferently. Poisoned? What poison? Upon hearing this, Elder Yao Jiu hurriedly asked. I haven't found it yet, but it looks like snake venom, Zhong Yun said with a calm expression. However, Elder Yao Jiu was unable to remain calm after hearing his words. Fuck, if a dignified alchemist couldn't even detect this bit of poison, then what was the point of having him? Elder Yao Jiu was burning with rage as he screamed in his heart. However, he didn't dare to shout out these words. Otherwise, the consequences of offending Zhong Yun would be very serious. After all, Zhong Yun was someone that the Yao family had spent a lot of money to poach from the Alchemist Guild headquarters. How could he be poisoned by snake venom? Don't tell me that your Yao clan has a venomous snake? At this time, the master of the Ning family held back his laughter and asked with a serious face. This old master is not sure, Zhong Yun said indifferently. After he finished speaking, he even intentionally shot a glance at the ninth elder of the Yao family. Instantly, the ninth elder's anger was ignited again. Master Ning, no one in the Yao family keeps poisonous snakes. Upon hearing this, the ninth elder promised. Chapter 22-28, Badly Battered 3. Elder Yao Jiu, don't be so full of yourself. In fact, it doesn't matter if you have one. To be able to take in a poisonous beast as a contracted beast is also a kind of ability, no? But the premise is that you have to find a way to get rid of this snake poison. Otherwise, our Ning family's seventh elder and my pitiful subordinates will suffer. The master of the Ning family was understanding. Zhong Yun also nodded in agreement. Master Ning is right. Curing the poison is the top priority. Otherwise, once these people's poison is deepened, even if an alchemy god came, he would be powerless. As he said this, Zhong Yun had already inspected Lung Ruoxue and the others, and had come to the same conclusion. However, from his point of view, the poison wasn't too deep for the others, but there were two people who were rather severely poisoned. Then, he started to check the food on the table. In the end, Zhong Yun found out the source of the poison and said to Elder Yao Jiao, Ninth Elder, this food and tea are poisoned. According to my guess, the poison should have been in the water. So, Ninth Elder, please immediately order people to seal the 2 wells of the Yao family. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. When the 9th elder of the Yao family heard Zhong Yun's words, he was just about to ask for the permission of the family head when he received a report from the waiter saying that the Chung family, Yin family, Lu family, and the others were also showing signs of poisoning. Instantly, he had a big headache. Elder Yao Jiao, who felt that the matter was too serious, apologized to the Ning family head. Before he left, he ordered his attendants to carefully carry the person back to his room and then hurriedly left the Ning family's guest courtyard to go to the other 3 families. Seeing the 9th elder of the Yao family in such a terrible state, the master of the Ning family felt very satisfied. But he didn't expect that Shui would be so fast and think so perfectly. If only the Ning family was poisoned, the Yao family would not be able to back out. However, now that there were 3 more families, it would be impossible for the Yao family to get over all of this easily. The Ning family's master's mood instantly brightened, and he even found the Yao family's alchemist to be much more pleasing to the eye. He pulled Zhong Yun aside and asked, but his face was still filled with worry. It had to be said that after being with Lung Ruoxue for so long, Master Ning had learned to be able to fool people without changing his expression. As a matter of fact, after Zhong Yun was flattered by him, it was as if he had found a confidant, and he was a little smug. He even very seriously promised the master of the Ning family that he would do his best to cure everyone in the Ning family. Just as the 2 of them were chatting as if they regretted not meeting each other earlier, the 9th elder of the Yao family, who was alone among the people of the Chung, Yin, and Lu families, couldn't help but feel exhausted. Originally, he had wanted to send someone to the Ning family's guest house to invite Zhong Yun to treat the 3 families and see if they were poisoned by the same poison. However, when he thought of the Ning family's master's expression, he gave up on this idea and sent 3 alchemists to each of these 3 places. In the end, he concluded that these 3 families were also poisoned, but the degree of the poison was slightly different. This result was quite similar to the Ning family's. The 4 alchemists had come to the same conclusion, so Elder Yao Jiao naturally did not suspect that they had made a mistake. Therefore, after personally reporting the situation to his family head, he rushed to the Ning family's guest courtyard without stopping. Although it was 4 families that were poisoned, in Elder Yao Jiao's heart, the Ning family was still the most important. After all, the old man of the Ning family was even more difficult to deal with than the other 3 families. Moreover, the other 3 families did not come in person, so they were naturally not as good when they met. But when he arrived at the Ning family's guest house, he saw the master of the Ning family and Zhong Yun talking happily. When the master of the Ning family saw him, his originally smiling face was covered with dark clouds. This result made his heart instantly feel stifled. The difference in treatment was too obvious. He wasn't the one who poisoned the Ning family, so why did they have to give him attitude? The 9th elder of the Yao family felt extremely wronged, but he didn't dare to show it, and he had to smile. Zhong Yun was also quite happy to see Master Ning giving the 9th elder of the Yao family a hard time. It had to be said that the Yao family's relationship with others was really too bad. In fact, Zhong Yun couldn't be blamed for being a traitor. The Yao family had always respected him as the head alchemist on the surface, but many of the Yao family members didn't think much of his status, thinking that he was just a worker for the Yao family. Those Yao family members might not be willing to offend him on the surface, but in the dark, they had always tried to make things difficult for him. He couldn't find any evidence, so he could only suffer in silence. After all, the Yao family had treated him well. Now, Zhong Yun saw that someone dared to give the Yao family a hard time. Although it wasn't because of him, he still felt very happy. At the same time, he was even more respectful to the master of the Ning family. Sensing this change, the master of the Ning family was secretly pleased with himself. Then, he said to the 9th elder of the Yao family in a seemingly concerned manner, What's the situation with the other 3 clans? Their situation is similar to the Ning family's. They should also be poisoned. Hearing the master of the Ning family's question, the 9th elder of the Yao family didn't doubt him and answered truthfully. Has the well water been seized? The master of the Ning family asked. Not yet. The 9th elder of the Yao family said as he wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. When he said this, he could clearly feel that the face of the Ning family's master had darkened again. Why didn't you seal the well water immediately? Don't tell me that you think that there aren't enough people who have been poisoned? The master of the Ning family said angrily. Of course, he had to put on a full show. I've already sent someone to check the well water. If it's confirmed that there's a problem with the well water, we'll immediately seal it up. Elder Yao Jiu promised. In fact, he had asked the family head, and the family head had said that he would first observe the situation and have someone he trusted check it out. When Elder Yao Jiu heard this, he immediately understood. The family head didn't believe that something would happen to the well water. But in front of the master of the Ning family, he didn't dare to say it so bluntly. But how could the head of the Ning family be so easily deceived? As soon as he heard it, he knew that this must be the intention of that old thing from the Yao family. That old thing liked to do useless things. To put it bluntly, he wouldn't turn back until he hit the south wall. Now that the truth was out in the open, they still wanted to send people to investigate. Oof. Check it. I hope you don't regret it. The Ning family's master secretly sighed to himself, and Zhong Yun's expression was also somewhat unsightly. She clearly didn't trust his judgment. Zhong Yun was furious. At the same time, he secretly decided that in the future, if the Yao family came to him to refine pills again, he would ruthlessly slaughter them and make them suffer in silence. Thinking up to this point, Zhong Yun's face was filled with worry as he spoke to the Yao family's 9th elder. Elder Yao Jiu, this old man has already confirmed that it's snake venom, but I don't know what kind of poisonous snake it is. So, please find the snake that poisoned you as soon as possible. This old man needs its poison, otherwise I won't be able to refine the antidote. After he finished speaking, Zhong Yun bid farewell to the Ning family's master and left. After Zhong Yun left, the Ning family's master sighed and said to Elder Yao Jiu in a very serious tone, 9th elder, I talked a lot with His Excellency Zhong Yun just now. We both agreed that the possibility of the poison being in the well water is the highest. After all, we gods cannot eat food, but we cannot not drink water. What a pity. What a pity. Listening to the Ning family master's words of pity, the 9th elder of the Yao family expressed his helplessness, but he could more or less understand his master's thoughts. In fact, the master didn't want this matter to spread. After all, the impact of sealing the well was too great, and it would cause panic in the Yao family, so they had to be careful. Opening his mouth, Elder Yao Jiu still hoped to explain, but the Ning family head waved his hand, indicating that he didn't need to say anything more. He even said that he understood, but he didn't support it, and then he asked Elder Yao Jiu to leave. Elder Yao Jiu resentfully left the Ning family's guest house and returned to the meeting hall, where they were currently discussing this matter. Furthermore, the Yao family's elders were arguing with each other until their faces were red and their hands were busy. The Yao family's elders were divided into 2 factions. One faction felt that there was a problem with the well water and that it should be sealed up immediately to prevent the situation from escalating. The other faction felt that the poisoning of the Ning, Cheng, Yin, and Lu families might not necessarily be a problem with the Yao family's water source. The 2 sects stuck to their beliefs and felt that they were reasonable. When the 9th elder of the Yao family arrived at the meeting hall and saw that these people were still arguing over the water source, he was instantly enraged. Are you guys done? Did I gather you here just to discuss whether there's a problem with the water source? The moment Elder Yao Jiu displayed his might, all the elders present were dejected and kept quiet. Although Elder Yao Jiu was only ranked 9th among the Yao family's elders, he was the most reliable and trusted elder of the family head. In the eyes of the family head, Elder Yao Jiu's position even surpassed that of the Yao family's first elder. Thus, when Elder Yao Jiu got angry, All the elders immediately became as obedient as little chicks. Ninth brother, calm down. We're just concerned. The Yao family's first elder, who was sitting at the head of the table, said embarrassedly, "Great elder, the water problem isn't the most important thing right now. I've already sent people to investigate, and once the problem is found, the 2 wells will be immediately sealed up. I've gathered you here in the hope that you can discuss a solution to this matter. After all, the poisoning matter is of great importance, and it might even affect the meeting of the 8 families. At that time, if the patriarch blames you, don't you think you will be implicated?" Elder Yao Jiao sneered after hearing the first elder's words. Chapter 22:29 8 families gathered. Don't think that he didn't know what these people were up to, but this time, they had made the wrong move. If the poisoning incident was so serious that it could not be cleaned up, the family head would not only blame him. None of the Yao family elders could escape. With this thought in mind, Elder Yao Jiao slowly calmed down. But seeing him like this, it was the Yao clan's first elder's turn to be worried. Ever since he had suffered a crushing defeat at the Yao clan tower, causing the Yao clan to lose a large sum of money, his position in the patriarch's heart had been plummeting. Although he still held the position of the first elder of the Yao clan, it was clear that his words were no longer as important as his 9th brother's. This fact made him extremely depressed, but he couldn't find any good opportunity to show off and wash away his previous humiliation. Therefore, he could only watch helplessly as the 9th elder of the Yao family became a popular person in the eyes of the family head. The poisoning of the 4 families this time seemed to have allowed him to see the light of hope. However, after listening to the 9th elder's words, he deeply felt that it wouldn't be easy for him to gain enough benefits from this poisoning incident. After some thought, the worry on the grand elder's face deepened. He sighed heavily and said, "9th brother, this is all too sudden. We're worried, but we can't think of a good solution even after discussing it for a long time. The key is, will the 4 families that were poisoned let this go so easily? That's why I think that there's not much point in our discussion here. It mainly depends on what the other 4 families plan to do. Therefore, I suggest that we first see what they think." After a pause, the Yao clan's first elder continued. The Yao family's first elder's words made the other elders nod their heads. Seeing this scene, the first elder couldn't help but feel proud. The older the ginger, the spicier it was. After all, 9th brother was still too young. He only thought about solving the problem, but he couldn't figure out the crux of the problem. In his opinion, those 4 families would never let go of such a good opportunity. They might even ruthlessly extort their Yao family. He was very experienced in this, because he had done that many times in the past. Of course, he had also been treated that way many times. The ones who left the deepest impression on him were Uncle Long and his people. When he thought of Uncle Long and the others, he still gritted his teeth in hatred. Initially, he thought that he would have a chance to take revenge for his imprisonment with the help of Lung Ruoxu's incident. However, he did not expect that the Yao family would be the first to get into trouble. This caught him off guard. Once this matter was revealed, it was obvious that a shadow had been cast over the meeting of the 8 families. AI. The other 3 hadn't arrived yet. If they heard about this after they came, what would their reaction be? When he thought of this, the Yao family's first elder was truly worried. He definitely didn't just want to see the 9th elder make a fool of himself. After all, this concerned the Yao family's reputation. After hearing the Yao family's first elder's words, Elder Yao Jiao asked with uncertainty, "First elder's meaning is that we should not move first, right? If the enemy doesn't move, we won't move either. Let's just wait and see what their next reaction is. After all, the one who stands out first will definitely lose." The Yao clan's first elder said with a shrewd expression, "But they were poisoned in our Yao family. We can't just ignore them, right?" Although Elder Yao Jiao also felt that great elder's words made sense, he didn't completely agree with them. No one asked you to ignore it. He still needed to show some concern. However, our Yao family can't be the first to relent or suggest how to deal with the aftermath. We must let them state the conditions first, and then we can discuss them. We need to at least know what they mean first, so we won't be too passive. The Yao clan's first elder suggested. Then, all right. Elder Yao Jiao hesitated for a moment, but still agreed. Seeing this, the Yao family's first elder was extremely proud. Thanks at the same time, he felt that his right to speak had increased. What he didn't know was that the ninth elder of the Yao family wouldn't do everything according to his wishes. After the meeting was over, Elder Yao Jiao immediately went to see the head of the family and passed on the elder's wishes to his ancestor. After the head of the Yao family heard it, he pondered for a long time before nodding and repeatedly reminding him that the other three families weren't a threat. The main issue was the Ning family's attitude. With the family head's approval, Elder Yao Jiao was full of confidence. Every day, other than visiting the poisoned people of the four families as usual, he didn't mention anything about the aftermath. As time passed, the Chung clan, Yin clan, and Lu clan also felt that something was not right. However, because they were all led by elders, there were many things that couldn't be decided at all. Therefore, the three families secretly discussed, and each sent an elder to see the Ning family master. In fact, after the poisoning incident, the other three families had also sent people to the Ning family's guest house to express their condolences. However, at that time, they didn't talk much about the matter in order to avoid suspicion, lest the Yao family think that the four families had joined forces, which would make it even more difficult to end the matter. But now they couldn't care so much. The three families had already sent the news back to their families. Before the master of the family arrived, they could only follow the lead of the master of the Ning family. And this was also forced by the Yao family's attitude. At least, the elders of the three families all thought so. The master of the Ning family received them in the living room and very cordially. He took the initiative to ask about the situation of the poisoned person. The three elders also answered truthfully, but what made them depressed was that every time they mentioned the Yao family's attitude, the master of the Ning family deliberately changed the topic. It didn't even lean on it. The first face-to-face meeting had ended in failure. The ninth elder of the Yao family naturally received the news immediately, but he was also confused. What did Master Ning mean? If it were him, he would be very happy if the other three families took the initiative to come to him, but the current behavior of the Ning family master made him puzzled. After that, he told the master of the Yao family about the situation. When the master of the Yao family heard it, he immediately believed that the Ning family was just being pretentious. He wanted to use this matter to make the other three families stand on the Ning family's side. When he thought of this, he immediately ordered Patriarch 9 not to let the four families come to an agreement. They had to break the alliance. Otherwise, it would be bad for the meeting of the 8 families. Elder Yao Jiao became nervous when he heard his family head's analysis. Then, he immediately went to see the elders leading the teams from the Chung, Yin, and Lu families. Because of an unsuccessful meeting between the 4 god domains, the Yao family suddenly became serious and acted as if they were facing a great enemy. The master of the Ning family, who learned the news later, laughed so hard that his image was ruined. Sitting in the garden of the house, everyone looked at the master of the Ning family, who was laughing so hard that he almost rolled on the ground, not knowing what to say. Did it have to be so exaggerated? Wasn't it because the Yao family had started to value the other 3 families? However, the Yao family had not come to see the head of the Ning family because of this matter. Shouldn't he be crying? How could he still smile so happily? Everyone was puzzled. Chapter 22:30:8 Families gathered. 2. In the end, they thought that Master Ning might have been so angry. Because she was too angry, her behavior was abnormal. Yes, it must be like this. Having come to this conclusion, they looked at the master of the Ning family with eyes full of sympathy. Even Uncle Lien, who had been tortured for the past few days, had forgotten his own pain and pitied the master of the Ning family. As he laughed, the master of the Ning family, who was slow to notice, felt that something was wrong. What's with your gazes? Why are you looking at me like that? The master of the Ning family made everyone's eyes look at him with endless sympathy. He felt a little scared and uncomfortable. Master, this is no big deal. Please don't take it to heart. As the direct descendant of the Ning family's master, the seventh elder was the first to speak. As soon as he finished speaking, first elder and the others also began to persuade him. You think I'm sad? After listening to everyone's words, the master of the Ning family was speechless. He was clearly smiling. So how could these people tell that he was unhappy? Godfather, they think you're trying to find joy in your suffering and force a smile. Only she knew that Godfather was truly happy. He probably thought that the old man from the Yao family had pleased him. How is that possible? I really think it's interesting. That old man from the Yao family is so full of himself that he's afraid that our four families will wear the same pants and join forces to scheme against him because of this matter. He thinks too highly of himself. If we really wanted to scheme against him, will we need to specially join forces? The master of the Ning family said disdainfully. In fact, the reason why he was so indifferent to the three families last time was all an act for the Yao family. Unfortunately, it caused the Yao family to misunderstand him even more. It had to be said that this was purely an accident. Hearing Master Ning's words, the people who misunderstood immediately felt embarrassed. The great elder cleared his throat and said, Old man Ning, what are your plans for this matter? Tell us about it. I don't want to keep pretending to be sick. There's so many people coming and going in the Yao family. I'm afraid it'll be exposed. What do you mean by that? You've really been poisoned. It's just that it's not that serious. Just pretend a little more. No one will suspect you. Hearing the grand elder's words, the master of the Ning family laughed and scolded. That's true, girl. I'm not in pain at all now. Wouldn't it be different if I did this? First elder asked Lung Ruoxue after nodding his head. Don't worry, you don't look well. Anyone with common sense will know that you're sick. Of course, if you want to be like Uncle Lien and Dongfang Yu, I can also satisfy you. Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly. When she heard this, not only did the great elder's expression change, Dongfang Yu and Uncle Lien's faces also darkened. If Lung Ruoxue had not brought this up, Dongfang Yu and Uncle Lien would have almost forgotten about the pain they had gone through. But now, Lung Ruoxue had reminded them of it. Thanks, this girl was definitely doing it on purpose. Whoa, what a detestable bad girl. Dongfang Yu and Uncle Lien looked at Lung Ruoxue with resentment in their eyes. However, he was completely ignored by Lung Ruoxue. Someone's here, Lung Ruoxue suddenly said. The next second, everyone had already returned to their rooms. Of course, the person responsible for the transportation work was only Azure. The person who had come to visit was the Yao family's chief pill master, Zhong Yun. After hearing the report from his attendant, the Ning family master immediately came out of his room and welcomed Zhong Yun to the living room. Recently, Zhong Yun had become a frequent visitor to the Ning family. Even if he had not thought of a way to save Lung Ruoxue and the others, he would still come over to check on their condition. Of course, the main purpose was to see if the poison in these people had worsened or something. As time went by, he and the master of the Ning family had become good friends. When he saw Zhong Yun, the Ning family head was as enthusiastic as ever. Zhong Yun also received great satisfaction from the Ning family head, at least in his heart. After all, as an alchemist, the greatest glory was to be respected by others, especially by someone at the top of the reverent god level like the master of the Ning family. To them, it could be considered the highest achievement. The two of them chatted about all sorts of things in the living room, and for some reason, they started talking about the Yao family's ninth elder. When they talked about the ninth elder, Zhong Yun's face was filled with anxiety as he looked around, and then he cautiously said to the Ning family head, Master Ning, I'm just gossiping with you. Recently, Ninth Elder has been in a terrible state because of the Chung, Yin, and Lu families. It's a terrible sight. Of course, Zhong Yun's words did not have any sympathy for Elder Yaojiao. On the contrary, there was a hint of gloating in them. What? Hearing Zhong Yun's words, the Ning family's master put on an expression of interest and looked at Zhong Yun expectantly. In his heart, he couldn't help but think it seems that everyone loves gossip. Even the alchemists, who had always been aloof and remote, were not exempted from this custom. The expression on the Ning family head's face made Zhong Yun's heart feel as if it was filled with electricity, full of satisfaction. If he didn't gossip, he would feel sorry for Master Ning, who was full of anticipation. Then, Zhong Yun whispered to the Ning family's master, "Master Ning, 2 days ago, Elder Yao Jiu went to look for the elders of the 3 families in private and promised them some conditions. The only condition was that they had to keep it a secret, but not only did the 3 families not keep it a secret, but they even communicated with each other. After the 3 families checked, they found out that the conditions the Yao family gave them were actually divided into different levels. So the 3 families are now in a mess. Now, Elder Yao Jiu can't even respond. There's such a thing." When Master Ning heard this, he pretended to be shocked and widened his eyes as if he had heard a fantasy story. In fact, he had already known about this. "Yes, Master Ning, I'm telling you this because we have a good relationship. I know that 9th elder hasn't come to see you yet. So, I want you to be mentally prepared in advance so that you don't fall for the Yao family's tricks." Zhong Yun's face was full of worry, but he was afraid that his words would cause the Ning family head to misunderstand and think that he was a traitor. So he added, "I don't have any other meaning in telling you this. I just feel that the Yao family is a bit unreasonable. Although they're my bread and butter now, I still have a conscience. So, I didn't want to hide it from you. Otherwise, how can I be worthy of being your friend?" Zhong Yun's words were quite sincere. When a master of the Ning family heard this, he expressed that he understood and implicitly said that if Zhong Yun was not happy staying in the Yao family, he could come to the Ning family. When Zhong Yun heard this, he was naturally very happy. However, he also expressed that he had no plans to leave the Yao family at the moment. After all, he was a trustworthy person. Although many people in the Yao family were annoying, the head of the Yao family had treated him well. Hearing this, the master of the Ning family also expressed his admiration for him, and the 2 of them chatted more congenially. At this moment, another waiter came to report that the elders of the Cheng, Yin, and Lu clans had arrived. Chapter 22:31:8 Families Gathered 3. Hearing this, Zhong Yun immediately chose to leave. The master of the Ning family didn't ask him to stay, but as soon as Zhong Yun left, the master of the Ning family's face immediately became serious. As for the elders of the 3 families, as soon as they entered the living room, they saw the master of the Ning family's cold face and unkind eyes staring at them. Suddenly, the 3 elders' hearts tightened, and they didn't know how to say it. After a long time, the elders of the 3 families almost knelt down under Master Ning's sinister gaze. In the end, Master Ning was kind enough to look away from them and asked indifferently, "What's the matter, 3 elders? Master Ning, this time you must give us justice. You're a good friend of my family's old ancestor. Since he's not here, you're our backbone, so you have to support us." A certain elder of the Cheng family said with tears and snot in his eyes after he came back to his senses. When the other 2 elders heard this, they quickly chimed in. When the master of the Ning family heard their words, he said with a puzzled face, "I wonder what the 3 elders want me to support you with. As far as I know, the patriarchs of your 3 clans should be arriving soon, right? Master will only arrive in a few days, so Master Ning, we're all counting on you now." A certain elder of the Cheng clan hurriedly said. Master Ning couldn't help but laugh at her words. "You only asked me to back you up, but you didn't say what it was. I can't help you." The master of the Ning family reminded. "The Yao family is really going too far. It's like this." The Cheng family elder's face was filled with righteous indignation, and then he told them in detail how Elder Yao Jiu had found them. Before he finished, he didn't forget to add that they thought the Yao family had already looked for the Ning family's patriarch, only to find out later that Elder Yao Jiu had only looked for their 3 families. Should I say that you guys are too stupid, or that you guys are too naive? After hearing the Cheng family elder's words, the Ning family head couldn't help but sigh. The Ning family master's words made the three elders speechless because these two adjectives didn't sound good, and the meaning was similar, so they didn't want to hear either. But with the current situation, it seemed that they couldn't get rid of the big hat of being stupid or simple. Then, the three elders heard the master of the Ning family continue. The Yao family is famous for its snobby nature. Although we are all from the 8 great divine domains, our positions are absolutely different in the Yao family's heart. Just like this time, why did the Yao clan look for you first? Didn't they think that you were easy to deal with? I'm afraid you'll listen to me and make the Yao family bleed. As the saying goes, pick the soft persimmons and pinch them. That's exactly how important you are in their hearts. As for the Nings, if we don't deal with you first, you won't come to me. But I'm not in a hurry. The Yao family won't dare to kick us out anyway. Otherwise, they'll never let them off. After saying this, Master Ning's imposing manner immediately rose, almost scaring the three elders to sit on the ground. Master Ning's words were sharp and made people feel uncomfortable, but the three elders couldn't deny that he was speaking the truth. In Master Yao's heart, the other 6 masters were indeed not as important as Master Ning. This was an indisputable fact. As for the elders, they were even less important. AI, Master, when will you arrive? At the thought of this, the 3 elders couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. At the same time, they were thinking that if the family head was here, no matter what, the Yao family wouldn't treat the family head the way they treated them. More importantly, the family head could make the decision directly, but they couldn't. Otherwise, why would they swallow their anger and compromise? In fact, the patriarchs of the Chung, Yin, and Lu families had not arrived yet. Other than the long journey, it was also because the patriarchs of the 3 families had met by chance halfway. After meeting, they naturally had to discuss this matter in detail in secret, so it had taken some time. As a result, the elders of the Chung, Yin, and Lu families were a little anxious from waiting. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone to the master of the Ning family time and time again. But in the end, the master of the Ning family could only tell them not to agree to anything with the Yao family before their master arrived. If the Yao family asked, they would all reply with 4 words, no comment. The elders of the 3 families were very obedient. When a 9th elder of the Yao family wanted to talk to them again, they directly told him, well, wait for their family heads to come and talk. They have no comment. This fact drove the 9th elder of the Yao family crazy. 3 days later, the elders of the 3 families finally saw their family heads. Coincidentally, the patriarchs of the Qi, Fan, and Yu families also arrived at the Yao family at the same time. Thanks seeing this lineup, Elder Yao Jiao, who was in charge of receiving them, immediately had a headache. Originally, he thought that he could settle the matter of the poisoning before the other 3 families arrived, but now, it was obviously not possible. Perhaps the poisoning incident a few days ago would rise to the level of a meeting between the 8 families and become a topic that must be discussed among them. If this continued, the Yao family would have to face the collective blame of the other 7 families. For Elder Yao Jiao, this was definitely the worst situation and the one he didn't want to happen. Thus, after some consideration and obtaining the permission of the family head, he arranged for the guest courtyards of the Qi, Fan, and Yu families to be on the west side of the Yao family's main residence, while the other 4 families' residences were on the east side. 1 east and 1 west didn't sound like much, but the distance was definitely not close. At least, if one had nothing to do and wanted to have a small chat, it would take at least 3 hours to go back and forth. The 9th elder of the Yao family, who was quite proud of his own creativity, didn't know that his unnecessary action made the other 7 family heads laugh. In fact, if they wanted to chat, they wouldn't have to go through so much trouble and go to someone else's place. Did the Yao family forget that there was a tool in the world called the voice transmission Jade Tablet? Of course, it was also possible to send a message directly. This was not difficult for reverent God-level cultivators, but it would consume divine power. They rarely used it unless it was an emergency. Just like that, the 7 family heads simply communicated through the voice transmission Jade Plate. The 2 family heads of the Chung family and the Yin family, who had a better relationship, directly stayed with the Ning family's master. The Liu family, who was in the same boat as them, also did not want to be isolated, so they also came to disturb them from time to time. Elder Yao Jiu felt helpless in the face of all this, because he could not stop it at all. In the living room of the Ning family's guest house, the Chung clan head hadn't even warmed up his seat when he asked about Lung Ruoxu's situation in front of the guest house's butler, who had yet to leave. "Why didn't that girl come with you? I really miss her food." The head of the Chung clan said expectantly. "Me too." The Yin family's master agreed as he glanced at the housekeeper, who looked constipated. "It's an unusual time and troubled times. How could I dare to bring Shuer here? If she really came, wouldn't the Yao family eat her? I'm also afraid that you'll join forces to kill my adopted daughter and get the reward from Rhyme." The master of the Ning family glanced at the two people who wanted to see the world in chaos and said with a smile that was not a smile. Upon hearing this, the patriarch of the Liu clan broke out in a cold sweat. As for the guest house's butler, who wanted to leave but realized that his legs were weak, his body was already shaking like a fallen leaf, teetering on the verge of collapse. He regretted not leaving immediately just now. In the end, he had let him hear such a thing. Woo! He wouldn't be killed by Master Ning, would he? He couldn't help but imagine. Of course, the master of the Ning family didn't know what he was thinking. Otherwise, he would have told him that he was overthinking it. Even if they wanted to silence him, it wasn't just a small housekeeper like him. Ha! How could that be? I don't dare to provoke that girl. Hearing this, the only two people who didn't change their expressions were the master of the Chung and Yin families. The two of them were willing to come here not only because someone in their family was poisoned, but also because they felt that they might run into the little girl. So, they put down everything they were doing and ran over. When they heard that the little girl didn't come, the two of them were quite disappointed. However, they would never think that this was a sign of fear from the little girl. "You're all wise." After a deliberate pause, the master of the Ning family revealed a proud smile. Seeing him like this, Master Chung and Master Yin really wanted to beat him up. Did he have to be so smug? It was really too detestable. Not wanting to see the old man of the Ning family continue to be smug, the master of the Chung family changed the topic. "By the way, what are your plans for the poisoning incident? Why don't you all share your thoughts so that we can consolidate our opinions before telling Old Man Yao?" Old Man Yao was afraid that we would do this, yet you still dare to brazenly discuss this matter with us. Master Ning said with a smile. "What's wrong? He's afraid of us, so we're not discussing it? Who does he think he is?" The head of the Chung family said disdainfully. Hearing his words, a certain butler wanted to just faint. Otherwise, he was afraid that his heart wouldn't be able to take it. Sob, the person they were talking about was their own ancestor. Was he going to listen or not? Obviously, the other party had no intention of avoiding him. A certain butler was very conflicted. However, the head of the Chung clan obviously didn't take him seriously and continued to add oil to the fire. "I've decided that if the Yao family doesn't give us a satisfactory explanation this time, my Chung family will be the first to not let this matter rest." Chapter 2232. The Battle of Words at the Banquet 1. That's right. If the Yao family can't satisfy us, at worst, the four of us will join forces and smash the Yao family's main residence. In short, this time, we must make that old thing's heart ache. The master of the Yin family also laughed evilly. Hearing this, the patriarch of the Liu clan broke out in even more cold sweat. They didn't say that when they came. Why did these two immediately change their minds when they saw Master Ning? Will this work? Although the Liu family was also one of the 8 great divine regions, he really didn't dare to say such a thing. There is a certain gap between the Liu family and the Yao family in terms of strength, and the Liu family's relationship with the Ning family's master wasn't as close as the Chung family and the Yin family's relationship with the Ning family's master. Therefore, he absolutely didn't dare to say such a thing. However, it was undeniable that it was so satisfying to say such words. In fact, among the other 7 families in the 8 divine domains, None of them liked the Yao family or wanted to make friends with them. Usually, it was just a matter of face. However, when a master of the Liu family heard such words, other than a trace of nervousness, he was more excited. After all, if the sky fell, there was a big one to support it. With these three family heads around, the Yao family couldn't just pick on a soft persimmon like him, right? If that was the case, that would be bullying. With this in mind, the patriarch of the Liu clan slowly let go of the anxiety in his heart and focused on the conversation between the three of them. Not far away, the guest courtyard's butler, who had been trying to faint but was unable to, had an ashen face, as if his parents had died. His expression was as ugly as it could be. When he saw this, the Liu clan's clan head started to pity him. "Ai, what a pitiful guy. You have to hold on. You can't blame anyone else for this. You can only blame yourself for living in the Yao family." The head of the Liu family sympathized with a certain butler as he focused all his attention on listening to the three men's conversation with admiration. However, he suddenly realized that the three men were getting more and more excited as they chatted, and they did not have anyone else in their eyes. After a long time, only a plop was heard. With a loud thump, the guest house's butler, who could no longer hold on, finally fell to the ground, his limbs twitching and his mouth foaming. Seeing this, the head of the Chung family smiled evilly and said, "This little fellow has finally fainted. Ai, it's really not easy." When he heard this, the Liu clan's clan head's face was already filled with black lines. He thought to himself, "So you're doing this on purpose? You guys are too bad." However, he liked it. Hee. Does this little guy have some hidden disease? Why was he in this state after fainting? Do you want to find someone to treat him? At this moment, the master of the Yin family also interrupted. "No need. Just send him to Elder Yao Jiao. This guy is that kid's confidant. So Elder Yao Jiao will find a way to cure this little guy." The master of the Ning family said disapprovingly, "If that's the case, then what are we waiting for? Men." The head of the Chung family looked very anxious. Those who didn't know would definitely think that something had happened to his Chung family. In reality, he was more than happy to see the world in chaos. As soon as the patriarch of the Chung family finished speaking, two attendants ran in. When they saw their boss lying on the ground with white foam at the mouth, their faces turned pale with fright. They thought to themselves at the same time, "Is the butler being abused? Sob, butler, you're so pitiful. How did these people torture you to the point that you're twitching?" When the two of them saw the butler's miserable state, they were so frightened that they trembled a little. Moreover, they did not dare to touch the butler without anyone's permission, for fear that they would be the next one to be like this. "Thanks, what are you guys doing? Hurry up and bring the housekeeper to your ninth elder. Tell him that this little guy's illness is acting up and ask him to get us a new housekeeper." The master of the Ning family saw that the two waiters were too scared to move and quickly urged them. "Yes, yes." The two of them shivered as they replied. Then they hurriedly dragged the unconscious butler out. Why did he drag it? Because the hands and feet of these two people were trembling to varying degrees. Their hands and feet were somewhat unstable, so they naturally limped as they walked. The housekeeper, who had already fainted, became a mop head, directly cleaning the floor. Watching the three of them leave, the master of the Ning family sympathized with the housekeeper. With such an out-of-line and timid subordinate, she wondered how a certain butler would react when he woke up. He was looking forward to it. When a certain housekeeper was brought to Elder Yao Jiao, the already badly battered Elder Yao Jiao's head immediately swelled again when he saw the housekeeper. Damn it! What was going on? Who did this to him? Looking at the guest house's steward, who had vomited so much that his body was covered in filth, the ninth elder couldn't help but roar in anger. The deafening roar made the two servants, who were already trembling in fear, sit on the ground in fear. The two of them, who were trembling nonstop, curled up into a ball like little chicks that had just come out of their shells. Seeing them like this, Elder Yao Jiao's anger grew. Damn it, don't you know how to speak? Are you mute? Elder Yao Jiao jumped up and roared. Ninth elder, we don't know what's going on either. I think the housekeeper was abused by Master Ning and the others. They were the ones who asked us to bring the person out to you. The two attendants finally finished what they wanted to say. The butler was beaten up by them. After hearing the attendant's words, Elder Yao Jiu asked with uncertainty. Those people were all important figures, so they wouldn't be so low class as to beat up a small housekeeper, right? It seems so. The two waiters weren't too sure, but looking at the housekeeper's appearance, they were undoubtedly being abused. Hearing this, Elder Yao Jiu could only invite an alchemist to help the housekeeper consume a pill. The unlucky housekeeper immediately slowly regained consciousness. The moment he saw Elder Yao Jiu, the pitiful steward acted as if he had seen his own father and immediately started bawling. His bawling caused Elder Yao Jiu's heart to be in a mess. In the end, Elder Yao Jiu could only roar out, "All right, don't cry." In ninth elder, the housekeeper, who had been yelled at, looked at the ninth elder in a daze. His teary eyes were filled with disbelief. He had thought that he would be able to get some comfort. Who knew that the treatment would not improve at all? Whoa! At the thought of this, he felt aggrieved again. However, under Elder Yao Jiu's furious gaze, he forced back the tears that were about to burst out. "You were abused? You were beaten up by Master Ning and the others?" Seeing that the butler's condition had improved, Elder Yao Jiu hurriedly asked. "No, I didn't eat." The butler shook his head vigorously. As such, Elder Yao Jiu didn't understand and couldn't help but ask, "Then why did you faint? And you even made yourself so miserable?" I was scared. Although Master Ning and the others didn't hit me, they cut me from the bottom of their hearts. Sob. They were so scary. They said that if our Yao family can't give them a satisfactory answer, they will join forces to destroy our Yao family's main residence. The butler said fearfully. Chapter 2233. The Battle of Words at the Banquet. 2. Humph. They dare. When Elder Yao Jiu heard this, he jumped up in anger. Ninth Elder, I feel that what they said might be true. Seeing that the ninth elder did not believe him, the housekeeper could not help but express his opinion in a low voice. Of course, his words carried little weight, and the ninth elder would definitely not accept it. What did they say? Tell me everything from the beginning. Elder Yao Jiu became serious as he spoke. The butler nodded his head, and then from the beginning to the end, he described everything in detail. After he finished, he even looked at Elder Yao Jiu carefully and assured him again and again that he was not lying and that he did not exaggerate anything. Rest well for a while. I'm going to see Master Ning. When you're done resting, go back and keep an eye on Master Ning and the others. Elder Yao Jiu said after some thought after hearing the housekeeper's words. Yes. Looking at the ninth elder's serious face, even if a certain butler really wanted to tell him not to go back and serve those people, he couldn't bring himself to say it. Then, a certain butler watched as Elder Yao Jiu left. After Elder Yao Jiu left, he immediately went to see his family head and reported what the butler had said. After hearing this, the head of the Yao family was so angry that he jumped 3 times high. There were still faint flames burning on his body. He was still cursing, "Damn it. Damn old things, do they dare to try? I'm not done with them." Hearing his family head's seemingly self-consoling words, Elder Yao Jiu couldn't help but think to himself, "Family head, if you're really not afraid of them, why are you so angry? You're clearly too concerned." Of course, he didn't dare to say this out loud. Otherwise, the master's anger would be directed at him. But there were some things that he had to say. After thinking for a while and coming up with the right words, Elder Yao Jiu turned to the head of the Yao family and said with a serious expression, "Patriarch, now that the patriarchs of the other 7 families have arrived, I'm afraid that it won't be enough for me to receive them. If they think that our Yao family has neglected them, it will affect the meeting between the 8 families, which will be quite disadvantageous for us." So, you mean you want me to personally receive them? Even though Elder Yao Jiu didn't finish his words, the Yao family head understood the moment he heard it. Elder Yao Jiu felt helpless when he saw the reluctance on the Yao family head's face. However, he still braced himself and said, "The other party is the head of each family. With such a lineup, only you, the head of the family, can show our sincerity. Otherwise, if we cause their dissatisfaction, I'm afraid the purpose of our meeting this time will be obstructed." In reality, this was Elder Yao Jiu's implicit statement. There were some truths that he couldn't say directly in front of the family head. Otherwise, the family head would definitely go crazy. Therefore, he could only hope that the family head wouldn't be so reserved and that it was time for him to appear. Thanks, after thinking for a long time, the head of the Yao family, who knew that the ninth elder's words were very reasonable, finally agreed helplessly. Although he was 1,000, 10,000 times unwilling to entertain those cunning old foxes, but since they were invited, as the master, he couldn't just not show his face. Speaking of which, he didn't expect that the other 7 family heads would come in person. With that, the original arrangement would naturally have to be raised. The next day, after a long nap, Master Yao finally set up a banquet in the banquet hall to entertain Master Ning and the others. During the banquet, the family heads naturally sat at the main table, while the elders and subordinates who were not poisoned were arranged to sit the lower seats, accompanied by the great elder and others. However, because the master of the Ning family and the others were all pulling a long face and not saying a word, the atmosphere in the banquet hall was unusually dull. "Master Ning, Master Chung, Master Yin, Master Lu, I'm really sorry for the poisoning incident a few days ago." The head of the Yao family glanced at the people at the table before speaking with a sincere expression. "Yao family head, don't talk about these empty gains. Let's talk about how you'll compensate us. The people of our 4 families can't suffer in vain. In addition, you should also quickly refine the antidote. If this drags on, how long do you plan to drag it out? You can afford to wait, but we can't. If someone from our 4 families dies, your Yao family will be the murderer." After hearing Patriarch Yao's words, Patriarch Chung was the first to feel troubled. The Chung family head was right. No one died yet. If someone died, it will be too late for you to refine the antidote. Therefore, you must get the compensation and antidote with both hands. We'll be waiting. The master of the Yin family quickly followed. "Patriarch Yao, if someone from our Lu family dies, it'll suspect that the Yao family has other intentions by inviting us here. So do as you see fit." The patriarch of the Lu clan mustered up his courage and expressed his opinion. He knew very well that if he didn't say anything, the other 3 clans would definitely not interfere in the Lu clan's affairs. At that time, the Lu clan would have little chance of winning against the Yao clan alone. Therefore, even if he had to offend the Yao family this time, he had to stand on the same side as the Ning family, the Chung family, and the Yin family. "Lu family head, may I ask what is the Yao family's intention?" The Yao family's head could tolerate the Chung family head and Yin family head's words, but he really couldn't tolerate the Lu family head's words. The Lu family was currently ranked second from the bottom in the 8 major divine domains. Yet they dared to go against the Yao family. They really didn't know their place. He was filled with hatred. "How would I know? I'll have to ask your Yao family. Why did the families that came before us all get poisoned by your Yao family? Isn't this enough to explain the problem?" The patriarch of the Lu family glanced at the patriarch of the Yao family and said in an infuriating manner, "Yup, Yao family head, why are we all poisoned when we came first? If the other 3 clans come with us, I wonder if all 7 of us will be poisoned?" The head of the Chung clan also asked curiously. As soon as they finished speaking, the other 3 patriarchs immediately focused their gazes on Patriarch Yao, all of them waiting for his answer. Seeing this, the Yao family head's lungs were about to explode. The Yao family elders' faces were ugly, but they didn't even dare to breathe. How is this possible? Being poisoned was just an accident. After taking a few deep breaths, the head of the Yao family suppressed his anger and said, "Impossible? Then may I ask Master Yao, why are only the 4 of us poisoned, but not your Yao clan? Don't tell us that we ate something bad." If I'm not wrong, the well water of your Yao family is also poisoned, right? After so many days, This matter should have been cleared up. Can you give us an explanation? After listening for a long time, the master of the Ning family slowly spoke. Patriarch Yao's face immediately darkened when he heard this, while the other 7 patriarchs looked at Patriarch Yao in shock. Chapter 2234. The Battle of Words at the Banquet 3. Yao family head. Has the well water been seized? The master of the Ning family asked again when the old man of the Yao family stopped talking. Not yet. After a long time, the head of the Yao family spat out 2 words. There's no problem with the well water? Or has your Yao clan already warned the Yao clan members not to dig for the water in the well? The master of the Ning family asked with a sneer. He had been biding his time these days, waiting for this day. Today, he was going to make this old thing suffer in silence. I admit that there's something wrong with the Yao family's well, but the reason for your poisoning might not be because of the well water. The head of the Yao clan said stubbornly. Oh, really? Then can you tell me the cause of the poisoning? The master of the Ning family asked. We're still investigating. The head of the Yao clan said. Check my ass. It's been so many days, what have you found? Your Yao clan's alchemist has already said that the poison in our 4 clans was from a snake and that the poison was in the water. Yet, you still dare to say that the poison in our 4 clans has nothing to do with the poison in your well. Even if he wanted to get rid of responsibility, he shouldn't be lying through his teeth, right? Do you think we're that easy to fool? The master of the Ning family sneered. Master Ning, I want to ask you, since you insist that the 4 families were poisoned because of our Yao family's water, how come you're fine? Didn't the other 3 families also have people who weren't poisoned? Besides, we, the Yao family, also drank the water from the well, but we're still fine. After listening to Master Ning's words, Master Yao also questioned the doubts. You're asking me why I'm fine? I'll tell you the truth. I'm fine because I haven't eaten anything from your Yao family. Not even a sip of water. If you don't believe me, you can ask your butler. In fact, it should be because I haven't had the time to eat, because the food of your Yao family is just too hard to swallow. The master of the Ning family laughed and said with a hint of ridicule. At this moment, the elders of the other 4 families also stood up and said to the head of the Yao family with a serious expression, Yao family head, we're fine because we didn't eat the Yao family's food and water. Their testimony made Master Ning laugh even more. But the Yao family head was so angry that his face turned green. Could he say that these 4 families were all in the same boat? At this moment, a guard ran into the banquet hall in a panic, shouting, Master! Not good. Something has happened. Seeing this, the head of the Yao family immediately vented his anger on the guard and roared, Why are you panicking? You're so loud. You really don't have any rules. Master, something has happened. Many of our clansmen have been poisoned. The guard shouted again. Upon hearing this, everyone present stood up in unison. Other than the members of the Yao family, everyone's eyes shot towards the head of the Yao family. When the Yao family's head saw this, he felt his head throb. He couldn't help but curse the guard in his heart. Damn idiot. Is there anything that can't be said in private? He had to come here and talk about this in front of so many people. Now, he couldn't deal with it quietly even if he wanted to. As expected, just as the thought appeared in Patriarch Yao's mind, he heard Patriarch Qi say, with a worried expression, Yao family head, the Yao family members have also been poisoned. Let's quickly go and take a look at the situation. We have to go over and take a look. Hurry up and lead the way. Without giving Master Yao a chance to speak, Master Ning rushed to say. When the waiter heard this, he didn't dare to delay and immediately turned to run. Master Ning and the others quickly followed. At this time, the poison people were gathered in the hall so that it would be convenient for the alchemist to treat them. After seeing the various family heads, the head alchemist of the Yao family, Zhong Yun, who was in charge of this matter, politely saluted them. Then he anxiously said to the Yao family head, Master, the area affected by the poison is very wide. Not only that, but the poison is also contagious. Therefore, we must immediately isolate the poisoned people. Otherwise, The consequences will be unimaginable. It's that serious? What about the four of us? Do we need to isolate them? When the master of the Ning family heard this, he became anxious. He didn't care if this was the Yao family or not, and directly asked, "The people from your four families don't need to be quarantined. They've already been poisoned and have developed a certain resistance to it. Therefore, the poison can infect them. However, this poison is quite dangerous for us who haven't been poisoned yet. So, the Yao family's poisoned people must be quarantined immediately." Zhong Yun's face was filled with pain. "If that's the case, then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and act," the master of the Ning family urged. "Thanks, that's right. Hurry up. For the sake of our safety, we can't delay any further. Don't you agree, Yao family head?" Even at this moment, Patriarch Chung still didn't forget to ask for Patriarch Yao's opinion. When the Yao family head heard this, he nodded his head and immediately ordered Zhong Yun and the others. "Zhong Yun, you will be fully responsible for this matter. You alchemists have a much better understanding of poison than us. We really can't help you. Family head, you are the ancestor and backbone of the Yao family. Therefore, these poisoned people need your comfort and encouragement. If you can stay here and accompany them, I think they will be able to cheer up." After listening to the Yao family head's words, Zhong Yun suddenly said. After saying that, he even looked at the Yao family head with an expression of anticipation. "Old man Yao, what Zhong Yun said is reasonable. Your Yao family has been poisoned too seriously. If you, the old ancestor, can stay here to accompany them, their fighting spirit will be even higher. So, for the sake of the Yao family, you should stay here. We won't be accompanying you. However, we will support you in spirit." Master Ning patted Master Yao's shoulder and said earnestly. In fact, he had been laughing inside. This time, the old man of the Yao family was so depressed that he was about to cry. How did Zhong Yun come up with such a good idea? In fact, what Zhong Yun said was the truth. He sincerely hoped that the Yao family head could stay, because the Yao family members would really need his comfort. Only then would their will to live be stronger. However, he wasn't sure if the head of the Yao family would go to this extent for the Yao family, which was why he made such a request in front of everyone. In any case, whether the other party agreed or not, it didn't have much to do with him, but it was of great importance to the head of the Yao family and the Yao family. In front of so many family heads and elders, the head of the Yao family naturally could not refuse. Therefore, after he heard Zhong Yun's suggestion and the words of the head of the Ning family, his face looked as if he was constipated, extremely ugly. But he still nodded in agreement. After all, in this case, if he refused because he was afraid of being infected, he would be despised by others. Wouldn't the image that he had painstakingly built up for so many years all be in vain? In fact, he no longer had any image in other people's hearts, but he would never admit it. Just like that, the head of the Yao family was forced to stay behind, while the other healthy people quickly left the hall. The other masters followed the master of the Ning family to the Ning family's guest house. Sitting in the living room of the guest house, the master of the Chung clan sighed gloomily. A good banquet was actually ruined by a sudden outbreak of poison. It's really a pity. What's there to pity? You should be glad that the Yao family was poisoned. Otherwise, after this banquet ends, we will be on the list of poisoned people. The master of the Ning family said with lingering fear. That's true. But now, if we don't eat the Yao family's food or drink the Yao family's water, we might be infected with the poison. Don't you think we should move out to be safer? Please don't trap us all. Otherwise, we'll lose too much. The head of the Chung clan said. His words resonated with the other family heads. They didn't want to be implicated by the Yao family. In their opinion, the Yao family had clearly offended someone. Otherwise, why would they poison them and even implicate the Ning family and the rest? Then should we move out? Glancing at the expressions of the masters present, the master of the Ning family probed. I agree. Very quickly, the other 6 family heads all expressed their agreement to move out. Then, they sent someone to inform the 9th elder of the Yao family and explain their decision. Hearing this, the 9th elder of the Yao family immediately panicked. At this time, If the Yao clan were to really ask the other 7 clan heads to move out, then the news of the Yao clan being poisoned would probably spread throughout the entire Divine Realm by tomorrow, especially since their poison was infectious. If things went wrong, the entire Yao family's divine territory might be boycotted by all the major forces. Therefore, he could not allow such a thing to happen. Before he could report to the master, the 9th elder of the Yao family had rushed to find a master of the Ning family. Seeing the 9th elder of the Yao family sweating profusely, the master of the Ning family and the others naturally knew what he was here for. But this time, they didn't want to compromise. After all, this wasn't their own business. Elder Yao Jiu tried his best to say good things, but the Ning family head and the other 7 family heads just wouldn't give in. Helpless, Elder Yao Jiu could only look for Zongyun. He also wanted Zongyun to persuade them to stay. When Zongyun received this mission, he was in a difficult position. In fact, although the people carrying the infectious toxin were already under control, he couldn't guarantee that there wouldn't be any more people in the Yao family who would be infected. After all, the poison in the Yao family had a certain latent period. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.